Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everybody's having a great day so far. I believe it's a Wednesday today. We're going to be talking about Francine, as it's going to be making landfall here. Most likely within the next 3 or 4 hours. We're expecting landfall to be about 6 p.m. Eastern. So let's go and see what we have in here today so far. We have Caleb, Velocity, Proxy, Kevin, and Caden, as well as everybody else who is tuning in and may not be watching. Glad to have, or who's tuning in, may not be chatting. Glad to have you in here. Pete, glad to see you in here as well. And let's go ahead and dive right on into this. I don't think we have any active warnings. Last time I checked, I'll check again. So we're going to go to our normal scene here, as if it wasn't a coverage live stream. Most of the time we have like a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning happening once we start up these coverage streams, or something more interesting is occurring. But yeah, no warnings active in terms of tornado warnings or severe warnings at the moment. Above my face cam is going to be a camera located, I believe, somewhere out here. It's going to be generally in this area where we have a camera. So that's going to, hopefully we'll see not much on that camera, but we'll probably see a bit of storm surge impact, some heavy rainfall, and as you could already see, some gusty winds above my face cam. There will also be, of course, using Connor Croft's feed. Our live chaser is, of course, out and about there. He wasn't sure if he was going to chase today's hurricane, but he made a last call, I believe, yesterday morning, and he decided to make the trip all the way from Illinois. All the way down here to Louisiana, and eventually he'll go on into Mississippi. I did just catch this out the corner of my eye. I did not see this update. Looks like a tropical storm's probably going to form and head towards Baja California. We've been talking about that one for a while, but today's stream's definitely going to be way more focused in on our hurricane that is currently making its way towards landfall out here in this Bay Area that we've been talking about for 5 some days. We've been talking about that Bay region. I do want to take us over to a more high definition, less messy radar. We do have, of course, our analysis radar here, so that gives you a more clean look and view at our radar reflectivity here. Not really the best feature I've seen from a hurricane, but it does have a pretty large, slightly well-defined, at least on the eastern, northern, and western side, eyewall here. This is likely where you're going to see those hurricane force wind speeds on the northeast side of that eyewall, as it's going to push inland over the next, we could probably see some hurricane force wind gusts as soon as in the next 30 minutes out here I don't think there's any town names in this area, but this is well south of Morgan City in Louisiana. But not the most impressive structure. You could still see some dry air is pushing into the southwest side of the eye. Now, it's not as bad as what it was yesterday, and it's not as bad as what it was literally like an hour ago. An hour ago, most of our western eye wall was barely even intact, so it's actually improved a bit of that eye wall structure over the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. And heavy rainfall is still ongoing across a very large portion of southeastern Louisiana. I'll go ahead and switch to the New Orleans radar site so you guys can get a better look at the intensity of this rainfall. These are going to be your tornadic bands right here in this area, the northeastern quadrant of your hurricane in this case. And we have had one tornado warning. I believe it was for this area here. It was a large tornado warning for the potential of a couple spin-up tornadoes. But thankfully, those did dissipate quite quickly, and they dropped that tornado warning. In terms of imminent tornadic activity, there's really only one storm I have been watching over the last 15 minutes or so. There's been this little area of rotation well to the southeast of New Orleans that has begun to spark up as it's moving closer and closer, and now is onshore. You can see just really a miniature supercell. That's what we're going to be dealing with today, is these mini supercells that attempt to produce tornadoes. Not a whole lot of those are currently formed across southeastern Louisiana. There's not really a whole lot of solid areas of rotation in this region. So yeah, we'll keep a close eye on it. The greatest tornado potential is definitely going to be with these bands here as they move onshore over the next 2 to 3 hours. And we do have a tornado watch that has been put out. Let's go ahead and stop this loop here. We have in this purple area a tornado watch that has been issued from the Storm Prediction Center. This includes populated cities like Hammond, New Orleans, Morgan City, just a county to the east of Lafayette. This also goes towards Gulfport, Mississippi, almost all the way into Alabama as well. This is for the potential of several tornadoes, likely with the potential for a strong tornado that is present out here. We have a 80% chance of seeing 2 or more tornadoes. That is a high threat, a high-end probability of tornadoes inside this watch area. So 80% chance we see 2 or more tornadoes, and a 20% chance one of those are strong. So that's actually not the worst probability, and is definitely on some of the higher end probabilities that we see with tropical systems and hurricanes that make landfall inside the United States. This probability where we have 80-20, that has become a little bit more common, especially it seems like in 2024 we've had at least 2, maybe even 3 watches where we end up with an 80-20 or right around that realm of a tornado watch. With both, I believe Beryl had that, if not greater, for Beryl. And then, of course, we have Francine that's had it. And I don't know and I don't remember, but I'm sure Debbie had probably something like a 60-20 watch. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, that eyewall structure, it does seem to be improving quite drastically there. Like I said, about an hour ago, you could see the completely open southwest quadrant eye here, thanks to that dry air and wind shear starting to batter the southern southwestern side of your eye. And then, like I said, over the last hour, that has actually been able to improve as we've seen some additional convection wrap around the eye wall and intensify. Still open on the southwest side, just not nearly as much. And that north, pretty much the whole northern eye wall is very well intact at this point. So we did have I think our highest recorded gust at the moment comes from an oil rig out here somewhere off the coastline of Louisiana at about 100 miles per hour. So we are having hurricane force wind gust equivalent of category 2 strength, and we could have some wind gusts potentially approaching category 3 strength. Recon, I believe, is in this right now. The NHC did just do another update. If you haven't been paying attention over the last 2 to 3 hours on the NHC site, they have initiated hourly updates for this hurricane as it's about to make landfall. Like I said, probably within the next 3 hours or so. A new peak wind gust of 112 miles per hour was recorded on the oil platform, matter of fact. So that is hurricane force wind gust almost equivalent to major hurricane status. This hurricane is still maintaining 90-mile-per-hour winds sustained with a millibar of 976. So we are still technically we are 6 miles per hour shy of a category 2. However, the NHC issues advisories in strength for a hurricane by every 5 miles per hour. So it actually have to have sustained winds of 100 as opposed to 96 in order to get category 2 status. And I don't think we are going to see that before landfall. But you never know. Maybe Recon will end up finding something. Maybe Recon will end up finding something here, as I believe they are inside the eye, or at least pretty dang close to it. Tropical Tidbits Recon is not working. I noticed that about an hour and a half ago, once I compared the two between Radar Omega. It might have been an hour ago, between Radar Omega and Tropical Tidbits. So just take note of that. Tropical Tidbits Recon data is not working, from what I can tell at least. I do want to go over to... yeah, it is definitely not working, unless I just have the... Nope, I'm on mission 14, and it is definitely not working. Last update was at... this says 301, which would mean it is working. However, the picture here has Recon off the coastline of Texas, when in reality, Recon is, I believe, near the Eyewall. We could actually check it right now. If we go ahead and look at Recon mission right here. So this is mission 10, mission 14. Yeah, you can see they just went through the southwest quadrant of the Eyewall, and they are actually finding hurricane force wind gusts out there, so that's actually really interesting. I'm curious to see, did they find anything of 90 knots up here? 70, 73. So it doesn't look like... Oh, 77. 77. That's probably what? If I do some quick math, that's probably right around 80-mile-per-hour sustained wind speeds on the northeast quadrant. Let's see if they can find a millibar lower. So what did I say the millibar was? 976 was the millibar they have on their newest update. 976 there, 976, 976. So yeah, still looks like this is maintaining a millibar of 976. There's a few that go into like 975.9, 974.6. That is slightly lower. However, the NHC does normally do about a millibar or two higher, so that does make sense there. It does make sense that they did a millibar of 796. Or wait, what? No, 976 for the newest update. I'll go ahead and turn off that Recon. We probably won't watch that a whole lot. We're really just going to mainly be just watching the radar as opposed to Recon today. But yeah, I'm going to go and switch you guys on over to this panel here so I can see if it works. Is that the correct one? Yes, that is the correct one. This allows me to use my other monitor to see what Connor is doing over here. So that's all the radars I have open right now. It is 6 radar sites that I have open on different radar sites across the southern and specifically southeastern portion of the United States. I do want to go ahead and take a quick look at Connor, because this eyewall is going to be approaching the shoreline, and Connor will eventually get into it. I do believe he won't go to the exact shoreline. I'll go and bring you all back here now. I do believe he's going to stay right along Highway 90, generally in this area, as opposed to going like right at the shoreline. Because if you didn't know, Louisiana has some levees down here, and if you go beyond those levees, that's where a lot of your storm surge will be found. Thankfully, low tide is approaching, so hopefully we won't see any storm surge greater than what the NHC is forecasting, which is currently 10-foot storm surge. But it's definitely going to be a quite rough next 6 hours out here on the coastal areas of south central, southeastern Louisiana. Do you think South Carolina will have a tornado risk for Friday or Saturday? Too hard to say, but I doubt it. I don't think we'll have much of a risk. They did just issue a discussion. Yeah, and that risk doesn't go all the way to South Carolina. Why is my map's completely darked out here? Radar Omega, you're gonna load. I wonder if that's Radar Omega glitching or my computer. I'm curious. I wonder if that's Radar Omega or my computer, because I do have a lot of tabs open. Look how slow it's... Okay, let's see. See if it loads really fast when I reopen it. Or just... Yeah, see, there you go. So, just had to refresh it. Glad to see it's not my computer. There is an AOI. They've now upped that to a 30% chance of development. I'm monitoring that for the potential of a storm chase in central North Carolina, I believe on the 16th or 17th of September. So not but about 5 days from now. I will keep a very close eye on that. I believe it will be Monday or Tuesday. It doesn't look like a notable thing to chase at the moment. So if we do see uptrends, I'll probably end up chasing it. But if we don't see any uptrends, I'll probably just end up leaving it alone. Yeah, so your main wind gust, I really want to see Recon go through this portion of your Eyewall again. I'd be really intrigued to see what wind speeds they can pick up on that. But yeah, definitely a hurricane, that is for sure. There's your full look at Hurricane Francine out here. A majority of your hurricane and tropical storm force wind speeds are going to be focused in this area right in here. Your hurricane wind speeds are going to be very specifically tight corridored right to that outer Eyewall area. So that's going to be moving onshore. You're about to see hurricane force wind speeds into southwestern Louisiana. However, we have already had some reported wind gusts well over hurricane force in the oil rigs out here. So we do know for a fact that hurricane force wind speeds and hurricane force wind gusts will be moving onshore within the next. I mean, they could already be onshore here. We could already have hurricane force wind gusts approaching Morgan City. Models did do a really good job with this. They did start off a little bit west, but from what I can recall, a lot of our models were quite nailed in on landfall being somewhere in this area in like the last 4 to 5 days. It was quite a good forecast, I believe. I think the models did a great job with this one, most likely because it was within the 5-day time frame. Anything more than 5 days, then your models start to go a little bit crazy. So let me go ahead and I'm going to bring this back over to New Orleans. Yeah, see these little areas? There's a lot of little areas that we'll have to watch for the potential of tornadoes. None of them look all that interesting. The most interesting one is still this one right here, southeast of New Orleans. So if you are in New Orleans, specifically downtown and or a little bit east, generally this area here, make sure you're watching this storm closely as it's moving up to the northwest. It could attempt at producing a brief spin-up tornado. However, it doesn't look all that interesting at this exact moment. And yeah, your outer eye is definitely starting to impact land now. I don't know if there's many chasers right on the immediate coastline right here, but if you are if we were to experience hurricane force wind speeds on land, it'd be in this little band right here. And that's going to continue to push onshore over the next couple of hours. Landfall will be when the near center eye hits land, which is currently located generally right here. This is moving about 18 miles per hour off to the northeast from what I've seen. I think it's moving right about 18 miles per hour off to the northeast here. So landfall, if we just take a basic, mathematics, 18 miles per hour, we could round that off to near 20. So you're looking at still a good solid 3 hours before landfall. So I do think it will be about 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock before we get landfall. The NHC cone hasn't updated here on Radar Omega. I wonder if that's just because they didn't update it on the site, or if that's just Radar Omega bugging out. Take a look at our NHC advisory here. We'll have a full advisory at 5 o'clock, so that's when they'll update their cone. Oh, you know what it is? They're doing positional updates every hour. So they're updating this icon every single hour. However, they don't update that cone until every 6 hours. So our last cone update, I believe, was 2 p.m. So every 3 hours, actually. I forgot we're doing those advisories. So the cone updates every 3 hours and the position updates every hour. So our last cone update was 2 p.m. Eastern. Our last location update was 3 p.m. Eastern. We have had a lot of significant reports of storm surge. So there is, of course, storm surge ongoing. It is starting to rapidly move onshore on these coastal areas. We've had multiple reports along this whole area, specifically right out in this general vicinity here. We've seen reports of storm surge. I don't have any measurements to tell you guys, but I have seen reports, plenty of reports from chasers of storm surge ongoing, and it's developed really, really fast. So our camera is in Leeville. I want to figure out exactly where this is. So that's, let's see, Leeville I think is over here. Port Sulphur. Am I too far east? Let's see if we can look it up. Leeville, Louisiana. All right, so that's where our camera is located. That's the most coastal camera I have available, I believe. At least one that I don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for. And that's not the worst place for a camera. I mean, we might get some pretty heavy impacts out there, but at the moment, it's in between what is the Eyewall and the outer bands as well. So it's kind of in a little bit, it's in a little lull of activity on that camera. You can still see it's shaking though. Just curious what those velocity readings are. 100 miles per hour. Keep in mind that is, let's go see how high up that is from the radar beam. Almost 10,000 feet up, so I don't think we're seeing 100 mile per hour sustained. You can never go off of velocities for sustained wind speeds of a tropical system. Most of the time, they're glitched out like this, where you have, normal velocities up here and then just bugged out velocities all in the eye, in the eye wall. Yeah, that's the southern side of the eye is definitely being hurt by dry air. So, it's not going to be one of those cases here. You're still going to have some hurricane force wind speeds on this side, but your strongest wind speeds by far are definitely going to be on the northern and northeastern quadrant of Hurricane Francine. We no longer have any special marine warnings in place, which is great news. That means that there's no water spouts that the National Weather Service is watching. I'm trying to get to the right radar site. There we go. Yeah, none of these look to be tightening up. That little area of rotation did seem to break apart here southeast of New Orleans. I'd still keep an eye on that, but it doesn't look like as much of a concern. So the tornado threat should remain fairly low over the next 2 to 3 hours and then pick up quite rapidly beyond 6 p.m. Eastern time. I do believe we have the potential for a tornado outbreak later on today. The prime tornado threat looks to really pick up after 7 or around 6. Right around 6 o'clock will account for some potential model error there on the time frame. But 6 o'clock Eastern looks to be when that tornado threat picks up, and then it lasts all the way until midnight, 1 a.m. Let's see here. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't believe that's going to happen. There is definitely something to watch in the Western Pacific too, but it's hard to just pay attention to this thing because we have a lot of stuff going on with weather elsewhere as well. I guess before this stuff really starts picking up, we can go ahead and dive on into some products from the National Hurricane Center and maybe dive on into some models. That way we can get through some things before activity starts to really pick up. There's our peak storm surge forecast. They did decrease those values quite considerably out there west of the Vermilion Bay area. They didn't increase the values out here, although we could still, in my opinion, I think we could actually see something more on the higher end, closer to 7 feet, if not maybe some areas possibly a little higher than that for storm surge. This is definitely going to be the main area for storm surge, right in this area, and then it's all potentially anywhere from a foot to 6 foot storm surge, all the way from the mouth of the Mississippi River all the way back to far western panhandle of Florida. Rainfall forecast did decrease. I believe that is only in correlation to the fact that we've already seen rain across some of these areas. We are looking still at the potential for upwards of 8 inches of rainfall immediately where Hurricane Francine is going to be making landfall, well to the southeast of Lafayette, Louisiana. New Orleans could still easily pick up on 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, and then we could of course see some flash flooding along all the way from near Memphis, Tennessee, all the way back down towards Jackson, Mississippi. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Flash flooding potential from the WPC, the Weather Prediction Center's outlook. They've maintained a quite large moderate risk level 3 out of 4 for excessive rainfall, with a large slight risk level 2 out of 4 surrounding that, and then a very large marginal risk level 1 out of 4 surrounding that as well. That is different outlooks. You can see it on the right side of your screen. Thursday, you can see this outlook. Then Friday, it moves on into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, back on into Florida. And then as we go through Friday, it moves on into portions of the Carolinas, mainly in South Carolina. And I didn't check the risk for flash flooding beyond that. I didn't look to see if the Weather Prediction Center has highlighted the potential for flooding near my area. They have yet to highlight that, but they may end up highlighting that on the day 5 risk tomorrow for the next upcoming AOI. Speaking of that, I do want to go ahead and back this all the way up, preferably not all the way to the point where it goes to my browser. We do have Tropical Depression 7 that is now formed out here to the southwest, actually west of Cape Verde. It is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm, and we could have a brief hurricane intensity somewhere along that lifespan. This is most likely going to end up being Tropical Storm Gordon out here, and it shouldn't affect land. The AOI after that, that I think has the best chance of forming, probably going to end up being the one over southeast of the Carolinas. The next name is something that starts with an H. I forgot which one it is, and then after that, it's Isaac. So we'll see if we can manage to get an H tropical storm out of one of these 3 disturbances here. It's low, but it is definitely possible. And in the Eastern Pacific, haven't checked models on that, but I've really stayed quite consistent with saying that's going to potentially be a tropical storm for Baja California. And yeah, actually, it looks like that is very much probable for Friday. Matter of fact, that may just warrant live coverage. If that does occur, we do end up with a tropical storm in Baja California. We will most likely cover its landfall live here on Friday. There is no radar, so that does absolutely suck. Most of the time, we don't cover things unless they have radar, so I may reconsider that, but we'll see. All right, back on over here. Yeah, so we'll probably see Tropical Storm Gordon form at the 5 o'clock advisory, I imagine. If not at the 8 p.m. advisory. All right, let's go and take a look at your high-resolution satellite imagery from College Dew page. We haven't actually looked at satellite just yet. It does reveal a very large opening eye out there just to the south, well to the south of Lafayette, Louisiana, southwest of New Orleans. Very large clearing happening in the eye. And you can see kind of like, I don't know what you'd what these clouds are called. We'll just call it outflow, but you can kind of see the outflow here, indicating that this is being sheared off and dry air is infiltrating the southern and southeastern portion of Hurricane Francine in this whole area here. So that is great, great news for Louisiana. Unfortunately, we do have a very well intact eyewall on specifically the northeastern side of Hurricane Francine, but impacts will be after this eyewall passes. They will be definitely more minimal, which is fantastic news thanks to that wind shear. So that should limit a lot more of your potential significant flash flooding. Flash flooding shouldn't be a really large concern. It's still something you definitely want to watch and keep in mind, but I don't think we'll see anything greater than a foot of rainfall. And actually, let me check the observations here. We are gonna use MRMS here. I want to see your 24-hour totals, and then we could do some math. So about 4 inches of rain has fallen on the immediate coastal areas well south of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we are expecting the potential for upwards of 8 more inches of rainfall. So I do think the max we can see here is a foot of rainfall, and hopefully we won't see that. I do think the flash flooding threat has downtrended quite a lot over the last 12 hours. However, the damaging wind gust side of things and the tornado threat both have still maintained, if not slightly uptrended. Yeah, that I would not be shocked if there is near Category 2 force wind speeds there. I would really, really love to get Hurricane Recon on that. Perhaps, fingers crossed, they've turned around fast enough. Oh, heck nah, bruh. They way out here now. They are far. Yeah, it's gonna take them at least another 30 minutes to get all the way, or right about, when did this last update? 10 minutes ago? Okay, so yeah, if they already started their turn, they could be back into the eyewall around 3:50, 4 p.m. Eastern. But I would not be too shocked if that does have near Category 2 wind speeds with it, and that's moving onshore, so I don't know if that's going to impact much of a populated area, but if you are out here, let's see, this is right along, these are really just some outer islands here. There's not really much population, I believe. You know, we could check with Radar Omega's tracking tool here. Bear with me, as I haven't used this in, Lord have mercy, 6, maybe even more months than that. If we do this, and then do this. So I think this, the general area that's going to see these strong wind speeds potentially sustain near 9,500 miles per hour would be this whole area here. I want it to be longer than that. That's why I said bear with me. And we'll just put a random speed in. So this says population is 0. I don't know if that is correct, but I hope it is. Because that's going to be the area. Generally, this area in blue, all the way from this region here, inland, that's going to be the region that could see your worst sustained damaging wind speeds. If there are people in this area, I'm sure they have, evacuated. Alrighty, let's go back over to here. So I'll keep an eye on some chasers, and if we do end up seeing any storm surge from them that I can find, I'll let y'all know. Connor is currently still not on the coastline. He's probably gonna try to intercept this northeastern eyewall as it gets inland. He's probably still a good hour and a half away from actually getting near hurricane force wind speeds. Let me go back over to New Orleans. I want to go ahead and make sure we're not seeing any sneaky bands of rotation moving inland. Doesn't look like it. There's a few little embedded areas still. You can see just tiny little embedded areas here of very weak rotation. Nothing that looks like an imminent tornado threat at the moment. Like I said, I think it's really going to increase later on, closer to 6. So again, that's where your low pressure is probably located generally here. And it's going to continue to move up to the northeast generally like this. So we should have landfall somewhere on the far eastern side of this bay area. Right about 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I did hear that, Pete, yesterday. But I suppose since the tornado threat's not all that high at the moment, he's probably going to chase the northeastern Eyewall as it moves inland. And then after that, he's probably going to go for more of a nocturnal tornado potential. Or very late evening into overnight tornado potential. Yeah, but that's definitely where the northeast side, we could definitely see some wind gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour. That's going to be where I watch the closest. That's where I'm going to be watching the closest. I do want to look at this data really quick. So this was at 1023Z. We can't use that. Let's go see if our recon position has updated here. Hurricane Hunters 6 minutes ago. I do think that's new. Yeah, so they're going to go just like this, and they're probably going to attempt to go right through that. Probably the northern side of the Eyewall, I imagine. Yeah, the lowest pressure they recorded was about 975, 976. So it's really just maintaining at the moment, and I do think it's going to weaken quite rapidly. Peak intensity is probably, honestly, now. I do believe it's kind of peaked in intensity almost at landfall. It may have peaked a bit before, like when it was back out in this area, but then the southeastern side of the Eyewall was still very damaged, so it may be peaking in intensity like now. I want to go look at that. Holy cow. Are those rotating? Okay, no, they are not. As they approach shore, though, we may see those velocities increase. So I would keep an eye on this band as it moves inland, too. I'm going to go look at your tornado ingredients. Let's see what tornado ingredients we have out there. Observed. Not that impressive, actually. But like I said, that's going to greatly increase. Really increase by every single hour we go. So every single hour from here on out, we're going to increase with that tornado potential until eventually it's probably going to peak in tornadic activity. Haven't looked at the newer model runs, but if I had to guess, probably right around 8 or 9. It's difficult to say because I don't know where those bands will be at that time. But somewhere between 7 and 10 p.m. is going to be the peak. I'm going to switch it all over to this scene here. Reorganize all my radar sites. This one's still good on Mississippi. I do have one over in Florida. That's just simply because I didn't know where else to put that radar site. And then we do have the Lake Charles one as well. The New Orleans radar site's starting to get way better readings in Lake Charles now, as it's the eyes started to get closer and closer to landfall. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Switch y'all back right on over here. Like I said, velocities aren't the most accurate, especially when it comes to dealing with tropical systems. But just to give you an idea, you can see those brighter colors of velocities, and they're exactly located with that band, that northeastern band of the Eyewall. That's going to be where some potentially devastating, damaging winds will be. And that band has quite quickly intensified over the last hour. Let me see exactly how long that's been. Yeah, last 40 minutes or so, that has quite quickly intensified. You can see it was pretty disorganized. Pretty disorganized at this point. It wasn't the most impressive. And then it got a lot more intense quite quickly there. I'm curious if any chasers are right on the edge here. Right on the edge of that outer eye wall. That radar site looks... Okay, that is in Hammond. That looked like Mississippi almost. I thought that was a little bit too far north. But yeah, glad to see you guys back on in here for a stream. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Biddy, let's see, Sam hopped in here as well. Pez, glad to see you guys in the stream. Michael, I haven't really been looking too much at chat, so I apologize if I missed any important questions there. Carson with Z's. A gust of 133 near the eye wall. I definitely didn't see that. Stacy, glad to see you guys in the stream. KLIX down. This one here, I don't think we have a, which one's KILX? I'm pretty sure that's New Orleans, but let me go check. KLIX, yeah, KLIX has been completely moved. If you mustn't have seen that, late last year they relocated KLIX over to Hammond, Louisiana, and gave it a new radar ID, KHDC. I believe that's, yeah, KHDC. So yes, this isn't down. It's just literally non-existent anymore. It doesn't exist. And that's to help with a bit more of the radar hole that was in this area. There's still a radar hole, but it's not as bad on the east side because they've relocated that radar site a couple miles westward. I believe they have updated it on radar scope. You just have to zoom in a lot more. Here's radar scope. I used it earlier today. Actually, yeah, see, if you're zoomed out, it doesn't say it. It says it's down, but if you zoom in a bit more, it's right here. It's over Hammond. I wonder what the velocities look like on radar scope with this. Not any different. So no special weather, special marine warnings. Really not anything too over the top to track here, which is good news. Nothing, I should say, nothing tornadic to track. Oh, well, there you go. We have a let me make sure you guys can't hear this. We have flooded roadways being reported here. Yeah, so there's a lot of flash flooding happening too. I just looked at Twitter. There's a lot more flooding. More flooding. There's storm surge starting to move in. What is this? Yeah, so we'll continue to Keep an eye on the coastline of Louisiana. Main threats definitely storm surge at this moment, and definitely damaging winds, especially with that northeast quadrant of our Eyewall. Thankfully, I don't believe that's going to be moving over much many populated areas. All right, let's go back and check on Recon, see if Recon has any new update. They're still flying west, or rather eastward. They're going to continue to do that until they're more aligned with this eyewall, and then they'll book it north-northwest. That was the last update 4 minutes ago. Yeah, and we'll just. I'm gonna mainly keep an eye on the velocity here near New Orleans, as well as closer to Gulfport. But as opposed to that, I mean, we're really just gonna keep an eye on that eyewall. I am getting a little bit more interested here with this. Some of these cells that are going to start moving onshore. This one's moving onshore now, actually. It's clipping some outer islands here. But that won't make it to mainland Louisiana or Mississippi till probably another 30 minutes, if not longer than that. But there are going to be some tornadic bands that form out here. And they're going to slowly make their way up to the northeast, generally like this. Yeah, your Hammond, Louisiana radar site's the best. I still have Lake Charles's radar site up, but I probably won't be using that as much. Sometimes it depends, Biddy. In this case, velocity should begin to pick up as they hit land, but then once they move more inland, they'll start to die down. So it would start to build up along the coastline and then continue to build once it hits land. And then right about here, say if we had a cell moving on land like this, you start to see it fizzle out more. And that's what we saw with the New Orleans area of rotation. So you could see it first formed in the ocean, picked up some speed, hit land, stayed with that, and then began to weaken more inland. So it just depends. It really just depends on the storm. Most of the time, they're very short-lived areas of rotation on land, which is why we don't really have much of a concern for something like strong tornadoes or long-track tornadoes. I just had range folding take over on that new scan. You can see the big difference between the two velocity scans here. I didn't actually check for cameras in this area, but I extremely doubt we have a single one out here. Yeah, definitely don't. I don't know if there's going to be any other better cameras to look at here. I don't think so. Really just that one in Leeville is going to be our best opportunity of seeing any type of impacts on cameras. I'll have to continue to watch Connor. I'll end up forgetting about him. I honestly, I do forget about him quite frequently. I get too sidetracked in talking about other data. Dry air intrusion, Pez, and wind shear. But it is a very large eye. That's probably not helping the case of intensification either. It's not necessarily the larger the eye, the worse intensification you see, but from what I've seen, you know, once you start getting smaller eyes, that's where you start looking at more intensification. But I don't know if that's proven. That's why I want to be careful on my wording. I don't know if it's proven that the smaller the eye, the stronger, or the more opportunity for a storm to intensify. It would make sense, but I don't want to jump the gun on that. I've seen it too, but then you have other eyes, like for instance Ian. Ian had a massive eye and that was able to reach category 5 strength. So I think it just really depends. What did I see? I've already forgotten. Oh yeah, let me go and show you guys our high definition radar again, or high definition satellite. Let's go over to, I gotta find it. Which one of these is Francine? Alrighty, so here is our high definition satellite again. For those who may have missed it, because I did show it just probably about 20 minutes ago, but there's your newest satellite scan. And you can see that large eye. It's very visible from satellite. It is very visible from satellite. And you can clearly tell there's definitely a lot of wind shear and dry air that's infiltrating and hurting the western side and the entire southern side of Francine here. That's also going to be visible with your infrared satellite too. Yeah, look at that explosion on the northeastern eyewall and intensification there. You can see the convection explode there on the infrared satellite. Destin, Florida. Let's see if you're on the panhandle. Yeah, so you won't, you definitely won't see the worst impacts here. There could be some very minor storm surge around a foot. So storm surge shouldn't be that much of a concern. I would be watching for more of the tornado threat overnight. The tornado threat overnight looks to be a potential issue out there in West Central Florida. Really, really early tomorrow morning. Flash flooding could also be a concern. It just depends if you're unlucky and get under that training thunderstorm. And if you are very unlucky, we could see isolated rainfall amounts upwards of 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. All right, back over to our... Ooh. It looks like that intensification is starting to spread more into the far eastern and even southeastern band. Look at that over the last few frames. See those higher DBZ values beginning further to the southwest? You really started with just this area, had those in potentially intense hurricane force wind speeds. And now it looks like that's trying to spread further to the southwest here too. By the time Recon gets in there, though, these winds are going to be weaker. I have a feeling, you know, if we had Recon in this band here, or at some point when it was a bit stronger, because it is starting to spread out more and probably weaken slightly, they probably would have found some higher wind speeds. You're welcome, Matt. Thanks for tuning in. I still don't, Michael. I don't think you'll see anything up there. Our camera's getting more windy here. I believe, yeah, there you go. That's where our camera is in Leeville. So it's starting to get a band of heavier rain. I don't think we're going to see much storm surge, though, there, because it's too far inland. It's not even that far inland, but we'd have to have a camera on, like, the very coastal areas, like, right in here. We may still see some minor surge get in, especially in the distance. I just realized that. Let me put you guys on this camera. Look in the distance. I know some of that's definitely the ocean, but I'm sure some portion of this is supposed to just be grass, kind of like how it is here. And you can see that water is most likely risen a bit out there. Wish we were closer. Put us on like this area up over here, this side of a bridge. We're a little too far to see exactly what that looks like. But I know for a fact a good chunk of that's going to be the ocean out there. And then I just don't know how much of that is storm surge moving inland. All right, I'm going to go back over here again. Still no solid areas of rotation ramping up. Go check the Mobile, Alabama radar site. Still that little broad area of rotation, but nothing of big concern. And it is still staying offshore, so I'm going to keep y'all right here on the eye of Hurricane Francine. Curious to see what Recon can find here, because it feels like this may be more of a mixture. I'm trying to think of what they'll most likely do here, but you're having some things that are proven that this is starting to weaken, and signs that it is starting to weaken, but then you're having like the Eyewall in the northern northeastern quadrant that makes it seem like it may actually start strengthening. So, I'm gonna just keep Recon on as long as they updated in the last, about 5 minutes. I'm gonna keep them on now. Well, they're still not starting that northwestern turn. I mean, if they're gonna find this thing at Category 2 strength, it probably would have already happened with that first big burst of convection that happened just 30-ish minutes ago. Those wind speeds have probably came down a little bit. So I don't think this is going to be able to hit that Category 2 status. If it does, it's going to be a pretty close one. Because they'll be doing a new advisory at 5 p.m. and it's either going to be like 90, 95 miles per hour, or they'll put it at Cat 2. I think we're getting closer and closer to landfall. I think personally we are about 2 hours away. The thing with these hurricanes is they're always deceiving. I found that out. They're always deceiving on radar. It's like, once you look at it on radar, you're like, man, I'm going to miss landfall. It's going to be in like an hour. And then you realize, this thing's taking forever. It's going to be another 2 or 3 hours. I have found that out with so many hurricanes and typhoons. That's why I didn't want to start coverage early. I saw some people were starting at freaking 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, I'm not starting that early. Thing's still 200 miles away from the shoreline. I mean, at 9 a.m. in the morning, it probably was. Let's see. Right now, it's 50 miles away. So, yeah, it was probably about 150, maybe near 200 miles away from shoreline at 9 a.m. I'm going to go all the way back to 9 a.m. We're going to take a journey back till 9 a.m. this morning. All right. That's 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. And that would be 150 miles away from landfall. I'll let y'all look at this loop. This is your full loop of how quickly the radar started picking up on Hurricane Francine on approach. So there you go. You can't know that far out. There's no way. When you look, the further you go out, the less accurate it gets. The most accurate time frame for models and data is going to be within the first 2 days. From the 2 to 5 day time frame, it's still accurate, but you're starting to decrease on accuracy. And then after 5 days, you drastically decrease on accuracy. And then after a week, after a week of model data, which I think is somewhere around 180 some hours out, between 180 200 hours out, after that, models are inaccurate very, very often. So that's why we can't talk about what's going to happen in early November. Now, we can look at like the climate side of things, what we normally see in early November, and what patterns we normally get in early November. And yeah, I do think at some point severe weather is going to be possible up towards the Midwest, but whether or not it would be in November, I can't say. The CPC has their outlook out, and they have average precipitation with above average temperatures in the Midwest. In AccuWeather. Yep, I've heard that one a couple times. By the time our tornadic supercell is going to hit the coast, depends on where. Tornadic supercells have been hitting the coastline for a long time now. I mean, I don't know exactly when like our first tornadic cell made landfall per se, but it was probably right around 1 a.m. or noon, or 1 a.m. noon or 1 p.m. When we started seeing that tornadic activity increase slightly. The main tornado threat, though, like I said, is going to probably be after 6 p.m. Eastern. After 6 p.m. Eastern will most likely be that main tornado threat. Most southeast county of Mississippi. Yeah, so you're further eastward, so your tornado threat's going to be later. We're getting a new model in now. But yeah, I think Mississippi's tornado threat will probably start to increase. Let's see. I'd say probably a little bit later than 6. I'd say closer to like 7 or probably 8 Eastern. Probably right about 8 Eastern, Mississippi's tornado threat's going to start increasing. Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more storm surge pushing in now. So as you start to get parallel with that eastern, northeastern Eyewall, that's when your storm surge really starts to push in. But it pushes in fast. It's not no, oh, it takes 14 hours for it to push in. It may be gradual for like the first 6-ish hours, but once that eye wall gets almost onshore, that's when your storm surge starts just absolutely flooding in. And actually, I just thought of something. Let me go ahead and shoot, I forgot what keybind it is. I'm gonna take this away from you guys. I'm gonna take this away from you guys real quick. Test this out on Connor Croft real quick. Okay. There we go. I'm going to look at Storm Surge real quick. Okay, there's not really much I can see there. I wanted to just check something real quick. I'm going to put radar and make it back up for y'all. Actually, let me check these, and then I shall put it back up. Yeah, it doesn't look like the main Storm Surge has started, but I do know Storm Surge is has already begun on the eastern sides here, this area. I don't know if that's flooding on Connor's feed. Connor has something. He just rolled up on something. I may show you guys his feed. Let me see if he's saying anything. But yeah, Connor is a little bit more south. He's getting a little bit close to this outer eye wall. He is probably here. No. I think he's right here. Right about here. Yeah. Somewhere around where my cursor is, generally in this area. So he is about to get slammed by that outer eye wall. Probably the strongest portion of it too. We're likely going to have ads above my face cam, but I'm just going to put his feet up there anyways. So that way we can see it. Even if we do get ads, I could just change the scene even though I'm slow. So that's going to be Connor Croft above my face cam now. That's our chaser. You can barely see it. If you probably have to squint to see it unless I change the scene, which I won't do until he's a bit closer. Where he is. So, yeah, he's going to probably attempt to get hit with this kind of the southeastern side right in here. Well, the southeastern side of your northeastern eye wall. So he's going to be trying to get hit by the eastern side, technically, of your eye wall right in here as that moves up like this. And like I said, it is actually intensifying further on the southeast side, too. And that's where Recon's going to go. They're going to go probably right through here. So we'll see what Recon gets. They'll probably be in the southeastern eye wall here about 4:15. About 10-15 minutes. They took a little bit longer. I thought they were going to turn like right in here, but they actually ended up turning way over here. So that's why it's going to take them a little bit longer than I thought. He's going to run. Where did he say he was going to go? I heard him radio something here. He's going to patrol the road. So Connor's going to go patrol the road. See if he can probably get a better vantage point. So before Connor does that, I'm going to just quickly check on these areas of rotation. We're getting a little area of rotation moving onshore here. I don't think it's going to stay alive long at all. It looks quite horrific, actually, going into Indian Pass out here in the panhandle of Florida. It does not look impressive at all. And then same goes for everything south of Mississippi and Alabama. Nothing looks impressive there, so we're going to just stay with this eye wall here. And once Connor Croft starts to get into that eye wall, we'll go full screened on his feed. We'll also get an NHC update here if we didn't already. I'm sure we did. And I just missed it. Yes, we did. We did about 10 minutes ago. NHC is maintaining sustained wind speeds of 90 miles per hour with a central millibar pressure of 975, which is one lower than the previous 1 hour update. Peak wind gust recorded was at 92 miles per hour. So those wind gusts have gone down slightly, which is probably because that eye wall is moving more inland, so... yeah, we'll be getting a full advisory here at 5 o'clock. I imagine 5 o'clock will probably, they will probably stop the hourly updates at 5. Maybe they'll do one more after that to say landfall, but I don't know. Let's see. I'm wanting to see if he's going more south here. He is going more south, so he's going to approach that eye wall quicker. All right, we're going to switch on over to Connor Croft's feed. I haven't checked this scene, so... Okay, good, it works. Well, my face covers the map there. My face cam. Let's see if this is more entertaining than what Debbie was when he intercepted Debbie. You see a lot of flooding on the left and some on the right side of the road, too. Oh, and people playing outside in puddles of water. Yeah, that's something you want to do as the outer eye wall of a hurricane approaches. Gracious day. Yeah, those people should definitely not be outside. Some people don't take it seriously. So Connor's going to be, I mean, he is right on the edge of the eye wall now. He probably should go a bit more to the west, but I don't think there's a really good route for that. Bump. Yeah, so he is well, you guys can't see the radar. I'm going to keep you guys on him for now. There's some water that's going higher. It's getting higher there. Quickly just switch you guys back on over to this. So right where I just circled in that black circle there, that's generally where Connor is. No, you have made it for landfall, random guy. We'll make landfall, I think, in about an hour and a half, maybe 2. Right around an hour and a half or 2 from now. The northeastern eye wall is hitting the coastline right now. What is that? Can you go on that? It's a bridge there. He's going back in. I'm curious what he's gonna do here. Just Papa Yui. But yeah, he's about to be hit with the outer eye wall, so he's probably gonna try to find a good spot here to ride it out. It shouldn't be that rough. I mean, you are looking at probably sustained wind speeds near 90 miles per hour. So, oh yeah, that is a lot of flooding. That's pushing up fast. Oh yeah, definitely. It's not going to take long for that to be, that whole road's probably going to get impassable pretty fast if that water gets up anymore. Probably, right as that eye wall passes, I imagine it's going to get some more storm surge up. So we'll see if he decides to ride out here or not. Wouldn't be the worst spot. Would not be the worst spot. We did just get an SPC update. I do want to see if they noted anything about a potential risk upgrade. Let's see. No, they didn't. Yeah. So still no enhanced risk. That's good. Welcome back, Caleb. Do you think the winds will get bad in eastern South Mississippi? You are in the coastal areas, but I don't think it will be that rough. You'll probably have some gusty winds upwards of 50 miles per hour. You're in those tropical storm warnings, and then sustained winds will probably be right around 30 to 40. All right, they did go through the far southern side of the eye wall there, so yeah. They're not gonna get the strongest wind speeds. The strongest wind speeds are definitely where Connor's gonna be up here. So yeah. I'll go ahead and switch off screen one last time to show you where Connor's generally is. So he's generally, I think, Red Omega has a better map. Yeah, so he's right about here, I believe. Somewhere generally up in here. Somewhere up there is where Connor is. You can see the big eye wall right here. That's all pushing upwards like so. So that's going to hit him. And it's going to hit him quite quickly, too. He should be hit here probably within the next 15 minutes or so. We'll see how rough it gets. It's not too bad just yet. Well, it is starting to gust upwards now. It's starting to gust higher and higher. Let's see. Do you think trees are gonna fall where Connor is? The ground is pretty saturated thanks to rain, so I wouldn't be too shocked if a few trees go down around this area. But one of these trees, like right in his view, I don't know about that. I don't know exactly how intense this eyewall will be. NHC is saying winds sustained around 90, gust upwards of 115. So I don't know if it's going to be that bad, but we'll see. That's his left camera there. Left door camera. Definitely some higher surge, that's for sure. I don't know exactly what this looked like, you know, the 24-ish hours ago, but I imagine it wasn't this high up. So Recon has gone through the extreme southeast portion of the eyewall. They did not go through the strongest portion of the eyewall, which would have been the east to northeast quadrant. And they only found sustained wind speeds right around... Well, there you go. That was a pretty good gust right there. But they found some wind speeds sustained about 80 miles per hour in the far southeast eye. And then eastern to northeastern eyewall is going to be stronger. I want to go see this chaser really quick. Let's see. Chasers are starting to get into the eyewall now. We'll see if Connor decides to go more south here. I've got another chaser who is south of Connor. I can't show it. I can't show his feed, but I will relay if he sees anything better. Yeah. So further south, not but literally around that turn that you can see around. It changed his view, but right around this turn here, water is very close to the road. All right, let's put it back here. Look at all the chasers there. All the chasers are right at Connor. So I'm hoping he doesn't show another chaser's feed. I don't know if he'll do that, but that's why I don't want to go. I don't want to go look at the other chaser until Connor changes his scene here. So Connor is, I guess Connor's going to write it out right here since there's a solid levee protection. So he's just north of Dulac. South of Dulac is apparently more dangerous because there's not a lot of levee protection from what Connor said. All right. He should change his scene right now. There you go. Good, good, good. So I'm going to go quickly check this chaser. See what this chaser has, because he's way more south than Connor. Okay. He actually doesn't have anything, he doesn't have a whole lot worse than what Connor has there. Connor's going to go further south to where that other chaser went, which I think is a good idea, considering where... I just think it's better further down the road, so... It is very, very, very close to flooding over, though. It is getting very close to flooding over the road. Oh, yeah, the weed whacker's trying to lose a car again. Reed's trying to lose a car again. So yeah, you can see. I mean, it's right there. That's where you're. I don't know if this is a river there or if that's where like the ocean is exactly. But it's very, very close to flooding and pushing over. This Eyewall has quite honestly rapidly, in a sense, rapidly intensified. Actually, it looks a lot stronger than it did when we first started stream. So we first started stream, it looked like, I kind of don't want to switch it, but we'll switch it. He'll still be above our face cam. So this is what it looked like. It was just a small section here. And if we go to the current radar, it's this large section, the entire eastern, northern side of the Eyewall. Much stronger. At least from a radar standpoint. But yeah, Connor is, I believe he's in the Eyewall now. This is a Category 1 hurricane, if you guys are just tuning in. The NHC did an update about 20 minutes ago. This is Hurricane Francine, the Eyewall of Hurricane Francine, Category 1 status. Sustained winds are about 90 miles per hour. The pressure, I believe, is down to about 975. That's a crazy chaser right there. I believe, I know who that is. And, yeah, we could have wind gusts potentially upwards of 115 miles per hour. Going to say hi to Connor. Okay, let me go ahead and he's looking at something. Okay, I'm gonna go check another chaser while you guys stay on Connor Croft. Alrighty. Well, gracious day, that's a crazy gust of wind. Man. That's it, dude. Just standing out there. 150? No way. Nope, no way. We actually now have a flash flood warning in effect. I wasn't too sure if we were gonna see one of those or not, but we got one from Morgan City. The 2 to 4 inches of rain has already fallen, and an additional 1 to 3 is expected. So that is a flash flood warning now. That goes from Morgan City all the way up towards Sorrel, which is northwest of Baldwin in Louisiana. Well, Connor's going back. Or is he going to just stay at the parking lot? Okay, he's going to the parking lot. Eyewall, it is on the doorstep of hitting Connor. I mean, it should be in the next 5 minutes. Connor should be hit. So we should see conditions rapidly deteriorate over the next 5 minutes on Connor's feet as he goes through the northeastern Eyewall. Welcome back, Andrea. Glad to see you back in here after about 3 streams. Hey, tuned in on a pretty good one. I mean, we're about to watch Connor go through the northeastern Eyewall of Francine here. Mesoscale discussion was just issued for areas on the northeast Eyewall or northeastern side of Francine and just in front of it. A couple of brief tornadoes remain possible over the next few hours. So tornado threat will begin to increase. I'm going to see if Recon got anything better here. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I don't know how accurate that is, but they found potentially 95-mile-an-hour wind speeds in the near the low pressure. Near the low pressure, not in like the eastern Eyewall, but pretty much where the low pressure is. They found 95-mile-per-hour sustained wind speeds. That is really impressive. I did not expect that. Considering that's where the calm of the storm is pretty much. Connor is pumped to go through the Eyewall here. He's worried about power lines, though. You can see all the power lines. They are all around Connor. The new pressure here, I'm going to see. I think the lowest they found is 977. However, they haven't found the direct low pressure. So exactly where the low is. I think they missed it just a bit to the north. So they may pull a quick Yui whilst in the eye. See if they can find a lower pressure millibar there. Over the entire watch area. That mesoscale discussion is over almost the entire watch area. It includes the far, and I mean far, like the coastal areas of extreme southern Mississippi, and the majority of our tornado watch south of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yeah, I could quickly flop it on your screen. There you go. In that red right here. That's where your tornado watches, or tornadoes will continue to be a possibility. There's been a whole entire 1 tornado warning. We missed it by about an hour or so. So the tornado threat has not been that high. However, we weren't really expecting it to be that high until after 6 p.m. So I'm going to wait for the new Recon update here in the next 10 minutes or so. Well, he's in the Eyewall. It hasn't deteriorated too quickly at the moment, but he is on the very far edge of the northeastern Eyewall. It is taking its sweet time, that is for sure. So we'll see. We'll see how bad it gets in here. I've never watched a live chaser go through an eye wall before. At least on stream. We couldn't watch him during Barrel or Debbie. Debbie was early and Barrel was in the middle of the night. And then we didn't partner with him until early this year. So we're going to wait. See if Connor gets crazy enough and starts walking out in it. He seems to be playing a bit more of the safe game here, which I'm not gonna argue with that. I would too. A lot of chasers have gone south of where you really should go for this because of the levees. They're going at or even after the levees. Let's see. I wonder, let's see if this chaser has better view here. I don't think so. Holy cow. Everyone and their mother is live right now. Gracious day. I didn't realize. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Literally almost all the weather YouTubers I follow, 20 of them are live right now. I follow probably about 20, right around 25 or so. That's crazy. So the northeastern edge of the Eyewall is now on land. But it's not technically landfall. We have to wait until the direct low pressure center moves over land, which will likely be still an hour to an hour and a half from now. Just because a clip of the northeast eyewall is on land doesn't mean it's actually landfall. We got to wait till the low pressure center hits land. Okay, there's a new update from Recon. See if they found a low millibar here. All right, they did get into the center. They did get into the center, and they have found it is indeed dropped millibars by about 4. It is down to a 971 millibar, right around there. So the newest update, they'll probably drop it by 2. So even though Recon's found that it's dropped about 5 or 4, NHC will probably drop it by 2 or 3. So it has indeed strengthened just before landfall. Just slightly strengthened. Dang, Caleb, I'm sure you got other people to watch. If I wasn't streaming, I would have, with the amount of monitors I have, I could have 12 chasers up right now, and I'd be using every last bit of it. I'd have 12 chasers up on my computer. I'd have an additional 1 on my other phone, and I'll have another 2 up on my other phone. Let's see. Gracious day. Alright. It is definitely getting worse out there. So we're into the worst portion of this tropical... I almost said tropical storm. This hurricane's eyewall. I don't know exactly where like the greatest wind speeds will be, but we are inside that eyewall now. It's picked up quite a bit. I'm curious to see if anything gets flung here. Connor's just pointing our pointing his camera at a boat. I'm pretty bad at judging wind speeds, but I'd say these wind speeds are probably sustained right around 30. I'd say we probably have sustained winds about 30 with gusts of near 40. But I'm pretty bad at judging wind speeds. Gracious day, Connor, you're getting me sick. Oh, is he going all the way to the shore? Oh, another bystander just... It's crazy how the public just literally walks out during the eye wall of a hurricane. We've seen on Connor's feed, I've seen at least 3-4 people who just are literally outside in the eye wall. Is this your levee? It's maybe your levee here. I don't know what we're looking at. It's probably your levee though. Storm surge at the moment is expected to be 10 feet. 10 feet. 10-foot storm surge is what's expected. 5 to 10 foot. But yeah, this thing's getting eaten alive by sheer and dry air too. Gracious day. Yeah, if you look at the satellite, it looks yuck. It looks yuck. Probably a water spout ongoing south of Mobile, Alabama. It should stay offshore for quite a while. I don't know exactly how long, but it's well offshore at the moment. So if it's like it's just one localized area here with the hurricane force impacts, which is pretty. That's good and bad. I'd prefer to have absolutely no hurricane force impacts here, but the Eyewall, I think they may upgrade this to Cat 2 just because of the Eyewall. Like the overall size of the system is tiny, but it seems like there's a very small area that is quite intense with wind speeds. I would show you guys the satellite, but I don't want to interrupt us watching Connor. Let me change this to here. I don't want this one. Trying to find the correct one. Well, while Connor switches his location, I'm going to bring y'all over here to the infrared satellite imagery so you can see it's legit. This one area here, this whole area here, that's really where your hurricane and tropical storm force wind speeds are. It's this small area here. It has completely been destroyed and demolished by dry air and wind shear on the northern side, the southern side, the western side, the southeastern side. It's been completely destroyed by wind shear and dry air. So it's just the centralized core, the low pressure and some convection around that is really your main tropical storm to hurricane force wind speeds. And you can see that from reflectivity too. You have a lot of rain and thunderstorms over here, yep, and then you do have some minor rain over here too, but mainly it's the eye wall right in here, and that's really about it. Eye wall here. And then this is where your tornadic activity is actually beginning to increase, by the way. we're starting to see. If I switch over here, there you go. Your first real supercell, most likely real supercell of the day is happening out there, well south of Mobile, Alabama. And that's your latest reflectivity as well. I'll show you guys that. So in order for us to have landfall this low, right about here has to move on land, which I'd say it's getting close. It's probably an hour away at this point. It's going to be very close to 6 p.m. landfall. Bring y'all back over to Connor's feed now. I'm going to go ahead and close out some tabs so I can, well, just pulled up the traffic camera in front of y'all's face there. Close some tabs here. It's moving a bit more to the northwest, but it's very, very slow. So I'll just keep an eye on it, and I'll update you guys if it starts posing a threat to land. Okay, I think we're in the Eyewall now. Now it's gotten pretty bad. You've got a lot more precipitation now, a lot more rain. We'll see how rough it gets. He's in the northeast side of the northeast Eyewall, so curious to see when this Eyewall peaks, per se. What's this? Hold on, y'all. We're about to get a new tornado watch. Let me see where. Tornado watch will be issued shortly for southern Alabama into the panhandle of Florida. It'll be needed eventually, actually. So at some time today, we're going to see a tornado watch issued for the panhandle of Florida into southern Alabama. The tornado watch will be west of Tallahassee, Florida. All right, here comes your full NHC advisory, or 5 o'clock advisories coming in now. Tropical Depression 7 is still expected to be a tropical storm late tonight or tomorrow. So it's not a tropical storm at our 5 o'clock update out there in the far eastern Pacific. Let's see. That Recon data is credible enough to upgrade to Cat 2, but they may not do that just simply because it is approaching landfall and those wind speeds are going to go down quickly before they even get on land. So we'll see what they do. But they do have credible enough data to upgrade this to a Category 2 now. The Weed Whacker, let's see what he's... Gracious day! He's really trying to lose a car today, ain't he? Holy cow. Where is he? So he is actually east of Connor. So he's not even near the strongest portion of I mean, he's in the northeast Eyewall, but he's not where the strongest portion of those damaging winds would be. If he was more to the southwest, he'd be in a better position. However, I think he's right on the coastline, which allows for him to be in, well, a lot more of an intense situation. a lot more storm surge because I'm pretty sure he's right on the coastline. Breed almost looks like he's in the middle of the ocean. Gracious. Recon is turning around and they are going directly back into the eye. They did a very, very sharp U-turn. They didn't do their normal like outer recon data. They are literally pulling right back into the eye. So they're going to try to get another pass before that new 5 o'clock advisory comes out for this and see if the NHC wants to pull Category 2 status on this or not. Yeah, but we'll see if Connor moves anymore. I mean, he's in a good spot, but I don't think he's going to be in the area where we see near 100 mile per hour winds at. There's no tornadic activity in Alabama right now, no. But we will see a tornado watch probably in far southern, southwestern Alabama over the next couple hours. All right, well, Connor's going to stay there. If he gets anything, he'll be above my face cam. So you can see Recon, they went right through the eye and they have done a complete U-turn. And they're going to go right back through the eye. So you can see we're going to do this radar sight. So you can see your main eyewall here. Main eyewall is right here. And the outer eyewall is starting to move into Louisiana now. So that low pressure, the center of Francine is probably right about here, moving up to the northeast. I still think it's going to be about 6 p.m. Eastern before we see landfall. Hey, weather tracker, they don't put a tornado warning in the middle of the ocean, buddy. Or are you talking about this one? There's just this is rotating here, but that's going to take forever to get on shore. I mean, you're looking at probably another near hour before that can get all the way to Alabama, southeast Mississippi. And these areas here, they're still very broad in circulation. It's moving very slow. It's probably moving near 5, I'd say 10 miles an hour, right about 10 miles per hour. 10 to 20. But you can see, like, it's barely moved. It is barely moved here. This is a loop over the last 30 minutes. So this is 30 minutes ago. This is 40 minutes ago. And this is now. So it's probably going to be another hour, maybe even longer. Right about another hour before this thing can get to the shoreline. And by then, fingers crossed, it will have weakened. But we are very close to landfall now. We're getting closer and closer. So again, that's where your low is, generally here. Land is right here. Once that low gets on land, it's landfall, which will be about 6 p.m. Eastern. Um, let's see here. I don't know how much of that tornado threat we're gonna cover, but we'll definitely be live till after 6 p.m. I just don't know how much of that tornado threat we're gonna end up covering in this stream. It still looks like a potential a pretty good tornado threat, but this has made landfall pretty far east. Let me go back to New Orleans. Yeah. Yeah, see, it's made landfall. If once it moves on land, it's going to be right at my cursor. That's where it's generally going to make landfall. So most of your tornadic bands on the northeast quadrant, they're going to stay offshore. So your primary tornado threat's going to be on extremely, extremely coastal areas. And then it will begin to increase into the overnight hours. So thanks to how far east this has made landfall, that tornado threat may not be as big as what we were initially anticipating. You see Connor's feet above my face cam there. There is water on the road now. Me and Lucky actually saw that a whole lot with Tropical Storm Debbie when we chased. The sides of roadways were flooded. A lot of roadways were flooded. Is that a wee-woo? That is a wee-woo. Nope, that's actually a storm chaser. I just noticed that. Is that a wee-woo or a chaser? They're so hard to tell now. You know what? I know. That's a spotlight. That's either a wee-woo or a storm chaser who barely meets the criteria of not having an illegal car. One or the other. Let's see here. I think I know who it is too, Pez, but that is very close to a an illegal car right there. I'll have to go back because it looks like his lights that he's displaying are white and orange. Because you got to be careful what lights you put on your light bar there. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. However, that is a very convincing car right there. That would make me check my speedometer in a half second, man. If I saw that car, I'd be like, what? Am I speeding? I do want to check really quick here. We should be getting... I want to see what 12Z GFS is going to have for me. But yeah, we're going to wait here. And I think Recon just went through the eye again. I don't believe they found a lower pressure there. Not available, not available, not available. Did they just forget to read it? What happened there? So our lowest pressure seems to be, what was it? It was one of these. Was it 971? Yeah. 971. 971, 972. Yeah, this is getting very close to landfall for sure. We'll see what the next NHC update has any second now. Any second we will have the NHC update. And we'll see where they put Francine at. I don't think they've done their update just yet. Nope. They're waiting for that recon data, so now they're probably, finally finalizing the update. So we'll continue to watch this as it makes landfall. Hurricane Francine is probably less than an hour from landfall at this point. I think it's going to be closer to 5:30, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock when we get landfall, right about 5:30 Eastern. We are getting closer and closer to landfall. Haven't seen much surge from Connor's feed here. Yeah, I definitely think it could go Cat 2 last second. Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably either do 95 mile per hour wind sustained or 100. 95 is 1 mile per hour shy of Cat 2, and 100 is a Category 2, so they're either going to do borderline Cat 2 or Cat 2. They did put a special marine warning on that storm south of Mobile, Alabama. Classic supercell. That would be the type of supercell that we would see potentially produce a strong tornado. So that's why we are concerned about the tornado threat today, because if we get a storm like that over land, it could potentially produce strong. It could potentially produce a strong tornado. But thankfully, that is out in the middle of the ocean, so there may be a large wedge, or a large, didn't mean to say wedge, a large tornado hitting the fishies right now. Maybe a large tornado over the fishies. If our radar sight was scanning lower, we'd probably see a much tighter area of rotation here. Because these tropical tornadoes, they are not tall thunderstorms at all. If even considered thunderstorms. They're more like storms without thunder. Yeah, this echo tops out here where the hook is, you're only looking at about 25,000, 30,000 feet up. Which, that's tall, but not that tall for a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Or a storm capable of producing a tornado. Let's see if it has thunder. See if it has some thunder and lightning with it. It does! It does! I could call it a thunderstorm. And they did pull the Category 2 on it. There you go. It is now a Category 2 hurricane. Last second. Let me quickly just tweet that. This has got to be one of the worst looking Category 2s I've ever seen on satellite. It's legit. It is Category 2 solely because of the northeastern eyewall. That is it. Which is enough. It's enough. It's enough to be Cat 2. But I mean, man, just last second intensification from the eyewall. That's all it took. Jair and Shear is eating a lot of the structure on satellite, if not near all of it. And it's really just the eyewall and a band over the, and a band south of Alabama that's left. We have that eyewall here, and then you have a band out here. Both of those are two strong areas of convection. But it is officially a Category 2 hurricane. Which on radar, I mean, I can't say, it looks pretty, it looks decently impressive. That tree is about to fall on a chaser here. Hopefully that chaser notices it. We might see a tree fall right here. Hopefully that chaser is, Connor just let him know, so he is aware of it. He is indeed aware of it. That is a wiggly tree. That tree is really trying to fall, man. Reed is about to be taken away from Storm Surge, man. I imagine this is about to cover his tires fully. You guys should go watch Reed Timmer's feed if you have another device, or if you just want to click off this stream for a while. You should go watch Reed Timmer on YouTube. Because he is about to be taken away by Storm Surge. Which happened in Category 5 Hurricane Ian. He lost his Dominator 4. This Eyewall is definitely intense. That is a very strong Eyewall. He's about to get through the strongest portion, too. Over the next 15 minutes to 20 minutes, he'll be in that strongest portion of the Eyewall. So the latest NHC advisory has Hurricane Francine at Category 2 status, with sustained wind speeds of 100 miles per hour, moving to the northeast at 17 miles per hour to central millibar of 972. Landfall expected within the hour. So we should have landfall within the hour. They're moving good. I don't need, I hope we don't lose another car. I'm gonna go watch their feed real quick. See if they, accidentally drive into the ocean. You can't see the... You can barely see the yellow line, but really, honestly, you really can't. I think Reed put him in a little bit of a situation here. He stayed a little too long. Wow. And it's gotten extremely intense on Reed's feed. Connor's getting slammed now, too. Still a big water spout likely ongoing for the fishies out here south of Mobile, Alabama. Alright, I'm gonna keep it on here. Ah, he survived! Yes! Let's go! The conditions are quite a bit better behind him, so that's good news. Good, so he made it past. Oh, well, it is blocked pretty well right here, too. Connor just got hit by debris. Thank goodness it's a bit clearer behind him, but now he's going through more storm surge and flash flooding there. Wow. Connor is south of, gracious, I don't remember the name of it. North, actually. North of Duloc, Louisiana. I'm gonna switch y'all back over here. So Connor is generally here. And there's our Eyewall. We are about to have landfall at any given second. Well, not technically second, but any minute. Any minute. Because your low is generally right here. Recon actually found your low. Your low is right there, so it's a little bit more to the northwest. So it's right about here. So it is very, very close to landfall. Gracious day, Reed. What the heck? Lake Charles, Louisiana just went live. What? Wow. That's 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 cool. That is cool. A National Weather Service went live. Let's see here. All right, so yeah, that eye wall is now already starting to weaken. You can see the dry air is and wind shear has really hurt a good chunk now of that southeastern and eastern side of the eye wall. So it was likely peaked here. You can see pretty decent eye wall in that whole area. And now that decent eye wall, it's shifted more north. It's more like up here, but it's also weakening too. Ooh, that might be our first decent area of rotation there in a little while, at least on land. But it's moving into this lake here, so that's good. Still going to watch that supercell producing likely a water spout well to the south of Mobile, Alabama. All right, Connor's going through the last bit, so let's go ahead and switch over to Connor's screen for the next 10 minutes or so. He'll be out of the eye wall soon and into the actual eye of Hurricane Francine. I'm surprised that tree is still there, man. Tree is still alive. See if Radar Omega updated the area. Yep. Gracious. Yeah, so it is definitely a Category 2 now. South of Memphis? That will probably be on the very, very late tomorrow. Late evening into the overnight hours tomorrow. So he's getting through the last bit of the eye wall here. He doesn't have that much longer to go. You can't see his radar, but he's getting very close to the end of the eye wall. Let's see here. So, yeah, Connor didn't get the strongest portion of this Eyewall. He was a little bit on the southeast side, but he did get most likely sustained winds were high end tropical storm force gusts were probably near hurricane force. So, yeah, I didn't look at the new HRRR. I did want to see what that showed for tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, with the eastern shift of the eye here, it does appear that most of our tropical tornadoes will probably occur offshore. So that is really good news. HRRR is also handling the timing of this very poorly, like CAM models normally do. So yeah, Connor is going to go ahead and head north. So he's going to keep traveling in the eye wall here, which is interesting. That's an interesting choice. So he won't actually get into the eye, which I mean, there's probably not a reason to be in the eye, to be honest with you. Tomorrow doesn't look all that interesting for tornadoes. Today definitely has a better chance, but it's today's threat honestly for tornadoes is beginning to decrease because of the eastern southeastern shift of what is this one, Francine? Let's see here. Oops. Let me quickly go find this. Okay. So we're just going to be waiting here for this to make landfall. We did get another special marine warning over the lake north of New Orleans. That's currently where one of our better areas of rotation is. I'll go and switch the screen up here. So you can see we do have two areas of rotation here north of New Orleans. One's actually getting decently tight there. And I have a feeling both of them are going to weaken as they head back on into land around Springfield, Louisiana. Let's go check on our fish water spout here. Still see a classic miniature supercell ongoing here. Still likely a water spout developing or on the water there, as well to the south of Mobile, Alabama. We'll see if that could survive another 30 some minutes till the northern edge of it starts to get on land here. A tree did fall down, but it didn't make it across the full road on Connor's feet. I don't know if you guys saw that above my face cam. Yeah, so a lot of little areas of rotation. There is one decent area, like I pointed out, south of Slidell, Louisiana. But we're still mainly watching that Eyewall as it's moving into Morgan City now. So it does look like quite a lot of storm surge as well as flash flooding is still happening out here on Connor's feet. And there's a power line that's low. Is it down or low? Just seems very low, yeah. Really low. Not really, no. Landfall was expected to be about 6 p.m. The low is currently right here or so. Moving on shore, so not really. If anything, it may be a little bit later, honestly, because when we were, if you look at like the advisory from 2-ish days ago, or even yesterday, we were looking at landfall about 2-3 p.m. So it depends on how you look at it. But I was expecting landfall about 6 o'clock. It is a Category 2, sustained winds of 100 now. They did an update at 5 o'clock as the system's nearing landfall. And Recon found Category 2 wind speeds. All right. I don't know if this is going to pull it up, so I'm going to pull Connor's feed over here because I don't know where this is going to appear. Okay. Of course, our camera is down. Let's see if we can refresh that. Back on the coastal areas here. Yeah, that has gotten worse as well. Let's see, where did I put Connor's feed? There it is. So we're going to continue to watch this as it moves on shore. Like I said, dry air wind shears definitely impact the system a whole lot. And yeah, that should decrease the flash flooding threat at least quite a bit. But we're still going to have some isolated amounts, potentially upwards of a foot of rainfall. Still pretty good area of rotation there south of Eden Isle, moving up to the northwest. That is in, of course, Louisiana. I'm going to go back to that storm south of Mobile because I'm really wondering, do you think if this will be able to survive until it gets close to Mobile, Alabama? It is starting to get closer and closer, but it still has quite a while before it goes on land here. Yeah, wind shear and dry air is impacting this thing like crazy. That is for sure. Just a burst of convection in the northeastern Eyewall allowed for this to hit Cat 2 status. And you can see since making landfall, the whole eastern side of the Eyewall completely weakened. So the stronger portion is now more of the northwestern side and northern side of the Eyewall. You're almost precipitationless on the southwestern, southern, and southeastern and eastern side of the Eyewall. So we'll continue to monitor it, and there's not really a much of a tornado threat to watch at the moment, other than that area of rotation south of Mobile, which is currently actually in the ocean, in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's see. There are some mini supercells forming off the coastline of the panhandle of Florida here, southwest of Panama City. But none of those look really like they're really rotating. Just a few small areas of very, very weak rotation. Yeah, this looks like it's probably going to break apart before it can actually get to the shoreline here. It had a cell merge, so we'll see if it can come out on top of that one. I don't really know how cell mergers interact with tropical supercells. I don't know if it's that much different, but we'll see what happens there. Connor is still battering some very, very, very strong near hurricane, if not over hurricane force wind speeds there. Look at those trees. I mean, they are going everywhere, man. Gracious day. Those trees are uncontrollable. I'm surprised one hasn't fallen over yet. I'm sure one has somewhere in the woods. Somewhere that we can't see further behind the ones out front there. We did also get mesoanalysis. I know that's not really something we've used a lot, but I do want to look at it because it's going to be useful for tropical systems as well. See how favorable of an environment we're dealing with out here in Mobile, Alabama. It is definitely very favorable. But we're going to need more instability to push onshore, which will probably happen over the next 2 hours or so. I personally don't think the tornado threat will be nearly as high as what it could have been. That's more of thanks to the eastern push of Francine. And made landfall a bit more east than what we were initially expecting, and then the NHC corrected that forecast this morning. As well as last night, too. Well, we definitely won't have landfall where I drew like 3, 4 some days ago. We're on the opposite side of the Bay Area that I thought we would see landfall. Gracious day. I wonder what the wind gusts are over here. I'm not that good at judging wind speeds from just looking at them, but I'd say probably gusts near 70, 80 miles per hour. I'd say near 70. Oh, Connor's gonna do, he's gonna hop out there, film a quick video. He's gonna use Dollar General to block it, though. No, Michael, I don't. I don't know how many times I've answered that question today, but it has to have been at least 5 times. I know information can change quite quickly in weather, but I mean, you're all the way up in Tennessee. We're looking at Louisiana. Let's see. So we're just gonna wait and see. I think the main thing I'm gonna pay attention to now. This thing's very close to. If not, it's making landfall. I'm gonna probably pay attention to that cell south of Mobile, Alabama. It is still rotating. That's for sure. All right, I'm gonna switch all back on over here. Connor will go above my face cam again. So there's your look at radar. This is your whole Eyewall. It's still organized. It is still organized. It's still quite potent there. Your low pressure is, I think, generally right about here at this moment. So it is very, very close to making landfall. So that's your NHC update from 5 o'clock. Which if we follow that 5 o'clock here, and then we just slowly follow it very, very slowly, it'd probably put it right about here. What's the movement of this, actually? 17 miles per hour. That is 11 to 12 miles away. So we should see landfall, according to that, right around 5:40, 5:50 Eastern. Which, I think we really are about to see landfall here in about 10 to 20 minutes. When did we start the live stream? At 3, right? Yeah, 3. We'll definitely be live to see the 6 o'clock update from the NHC. When does the 18Z GFS come in? I feel like that's in about an hour, so... Actually, no, it should be in like 10 minutes. 5:30 or so. Between 5:30 to 5:50, because I do remember normally it renders in just before we start our stream at 6 o'clock. Definitely not a tour bust, because we have the rest of the day to go. We'll have to wait and see what the whole entire night hours hold. Like I said, the main tornado threat's really expected to be after 6 o'clock, but that tornado threat's going to be more limited thanks to the more eastward shift here of Francine. We weren't really expecting much of a tornado threat this morning. You just want to call something a bust. That's what you want to do. The tornado threat was very low yesterday into the afternoon of today. It was expected to pick up in the evening hours. Let's see if they say the exact time frame here. I'm curious if tomorrow morning we'll have a more notable tornado threat or not. I wouldn't... Jeez, Connor is being pounded right now by rain. Holy moly. Tomorrow morning, Blake. Duh. Tomorrow morning. All day for the rest of the day tonight into the entire overnight hours into tomorrow morning. The entire night has the opportunity for tornadoes. Why would they issue a mesoscale discussion about severe weather potential earlier today? They wouldn't put an MCD out saying tornado threat for 8 a.m. this morning. That's not what they do. Yeah, I did see it. You're probably talking about the cell that we've been watching for the last, hour. If you're talking about this one, Sam, have you been watching the stream, Sam? We've been mentioning this one for about 40 minutes now. Now, if you're talking about another one, I know there is some more over here. These, yeah, we've also seen these too. But these are all very marginal threats. They're not really that good of a tornado threat here. An isolated spin-up brief tornado, or a brief water spout, rather, could occur with one of these bands. It does not look that notable at all. There's very marginal rotation here, but that might be one that may be producing a water spout here soon. There's also another one here that's very marginal, but they're not good areas of rotation. They're not something I'd be concerned about for the shoreline at the moment. But eventually those bands will move more north over the next 3-4 hours. They're just going to be very, very slow. Very slow. The main tornado threat looks to be overnight at this point. Still, of course, it's going to ramp up after 6 p.m., but the main peak now looks to be overnight. And I have a feeling we're going to have a pretty good tornado threat, and I won't be able to cover it because I can't do overnight coverage for a tornado threat. Hopefully most of it will stay offshore. But we'll have to see. It will be mainly coastal. But I wouldn't be shocked to see like at the 9 o'clock if the National Weather Service pushes that slight risk for severe weather more east. Oh, they did actually already introduce a slight over here. Never mind. For tomorrow. Yeah, I could definitely see a few tornadoes, maybe even a strong one, happening in this area overnight tonight into tomorrow. Maybe a little bit more west than that, too. This area overnight tonight into tomorrow. However, we were saying that earlier today for this area. For this area here, and that did downtrend because it moved, Francine moved more east, so hopefully we could have a downtrend with that threat, too. Alright, let's go back over here really quick. We are right at landfall here. I don't know exactly where the low pressure would be located here. It's somewhere in here is your low pressure. So we are at, if not, we've already seen landfall now. We'll still watch this one as it moves more inland here, well south of Mobile, Alabama. That's going to be the main cell to watch over the next hour here. It's on the western side of the Eyewall. It's right about here. Which if I go ahead and attempt that in this area, it'd be somewhere right about here. So, like you said, it's probably a little bit more west, but not south. According to Recon, they found the low pressure on like the west-northwestern side of the eye wall. Or on the eye, rather. Landfall should happen probably within the next 20 minutes here. Most likely in the next 20 minutes. We just won't know about landfall until the 6 p.m. advisory and see what the NHC says by then. So far, the highest wind gust recorded was over water, about 60 miles to the southwest of the nearest land point in southeastern Louisiana. An oil rig detected, or I should say recorded, a gust of 112 miles per hour. And like I said, we were talking about wind gusts upwards of 115, so... Let's see. This is starting to, let's see. I can't really tell if it's starting to wobble. I thought maybe it was starting a little westward wobble. Doesn't really look like it, though. Gracious. Bit of a flash warning there. This is a loop of Francine as it's making landfall, most likely within the next 20 minutes or so. I'll have to load it in, so it is going to flash some. South Carolina, Georgia state line. Do you think I'm going to get a tornado threat in day 3? Nope. It's a little hard to say this far out, but I don't see anything coming from Friday's tornado threat. If so, it's probably going to be over Alabama. I think the greatest tornado threat is going to be late tonight into the overnight hours now. And we likely won't cover much of that. Just to tell you how long we have been tracking this hurricane, if you guys haven't been keeping up much with what we were watching a long, long time ago, we started looking at this wave around August 24th. If you looked at the date recently, it is September 11th. I can't do the math on that, but I know that is more than 2 weeks. So we've been tracking this wave for a long time. I'll let that loop one more time, and then I want to go check those cells off in south of Alabama, south of Florida, off the coastline of Florida. They'll likely issue a tornado watch as these storms get closer. I imagine we'll see a tornado watch come out probably at any minute, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, this area of rotation did fall apart. I thought that would happen. So main thing to keep an eye on tornadic-wise is going to be this cell well south of Mobile, Alabama. It is approaching Fort Morgan in this general area here in extreme southwestern Alabama. I don't know if that small area of rotation is going to warrant a tornado warning or not. We'll see about that. And most of the actual tornadic bands out here off of Florida are just that, tornadic bands off of Florida. And those will be pushed onshore late tonight into the overnight hours. All this rain in Arkansas. I don't know exactly what that's associated with and what's caused that rain. I haven't paid attention to that type of or that area. It doesn't look like it's associated with a front or a trough ejection. It may be associated with a dry line that is helping some storms there. But I don't really know exactly what that's associated with. It won't be anything of concern, so that's good news. Let's see. So we'll just continue to monitor those tornadic bands offshore and wait for landfall to occur here. That is Connor Croft above my face cam. And we're going to switch back over to him because he's actually getting a pretty good amount of damaging winds and rain there. Landfall could be at any given second or minute, and we just really wouldn't know thanks to, well, I don't know exactly where the low pressure is. All right, we're going to switch back now. Pretty fast. I do know the low is somewhere in here. And if it's in the middle of that, it may have made landfall on this little tip here of Louisiana. Let's see here. I'm really curious to see who can get the highest storm surge total here. It's hard to judge how many feet of surge we've seen. But I have seen a lot of chasers with pretty high in storm surge. The NHC is about to go live, and I think we are going... I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch their feed once I go take a quick break here. So I'm going to switch the scene. Oh, well, we've already switched it. I thought maybe I didn't switch it yet. They'll be going live within the next minute or two here. I'll probably flop it on this scene here. Let me just do this. So I'm going to flop it on Connor's scene like that. And then I'm going to do this. And once the NHC goes live, I will just flop it over there on that tab. And I'll take a quick break. Oh yeah, I haven't even looked at the power outages. Yeah, a little over 15,000 people without power in Louisiana. That's going to go up a lot, especially now that the storm is really, really moving on land. The main Eyewall, the main damaging winds. That's Connor Croft that you guys are watching right now. He's got some pretty, really strong winds right there. That's might be his right camera. That was his right door camera, I'm pretty sure. Well, NHC is a little late with their live update, and then once they're done with their live update, we'll see. I don't know if they're going to do an hourly update at 6 o'clock or not, actually, now to think of it. There's been one tornado warning, Caden. There's been one tornado warning, so I will agree that the tornado threat has underperformed thus far, which is a fantastic news considering it was looking pretty good potential there, maybe even for an outbreak, and now that went down a lot. Gracious. Yeah, Connor's getting quite a lot of damaging winds there. He's still on the very edge of the northeastern Eyewall. The NHC may be taking too long here. I might switch the scene back. Yeah, I will. Let's go over this real quick. So there's your Eyewall. Connor is right about here. So he's entering that most intense portion of the northeastern Eyewall still. He's staying with it, going to that storm south of Mobile, Alabama. It has fallen apart thanks to a new storm that formed pretty much right on its hook echo. And those storms off the coastline of Florida, they all still seem quite disorganized. And it appears like most of them will be staying offshore. I'm going to go back to Connor's feed, see if you guys can see that. See the bucket rolling? There's a bucket that just rolled across his feed there. There it goes. So that's Connor Croft's live feed. All right. I'm going to just quickly go take a break right now. And then I will be, I'll be back. So I'll just let y'all listen to Connor. Then we'll watch the NHC together.
Huge wind right here. Wow. Very edge of the Eyewall now. It's getting intense. The eye is right behind me.
Alrighty. I am back. I bet the NHC went live right when I left. Nope. I'm gonna forget about watching the NHC. I have a feeling I'll end up forgetting. Let me also put that back up there. All right. So I don't really think there's a whole lot to watch anymore. We're really just gonna stay on this till it makes landfall, and then we'll probably end up concluding the stream a little early. I probably won't stay live past 7 o'clock Eastern. And then I'll monitor for a stream, but I won't be doing urgent coverage beyond 11 p.m. So after I end, say if I end at 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'll watch till 11 o'clock, and if nothing happens by then that warrants urgent coverage, then I'll just end up seeing you guys tomorrow. Pretty sure I will be live tomorrow. I don't know when that peak tornado threat will be, but I do want to cover it, so we'll probably end up being live tomorrow. It's around 6 o'clock Eastern, unless it's needed a bit earlier. NHC is still not live. They may be waiting for the 6 o'clock update, but they said 5:40 Eastern time. I'm just going to keep y'all on this radar, honestly. I'm going to keep y'all right here on this loop. Never mind, the NHC just went live.
5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central update on Hurricane Francine. So the big story of the evening is Francine has continued to intensify through the afternoon as it's trying to make landfall here as I speak, just south of Houma, Louisiana. It is now a Category 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale with peak winds of 100 miles per hour. You can look at the radar here and you can see that the radar has really filled in rapidly over southern Louisiana and southern Alabama. Conditions are going to go downhill really rapidly over the next several hours. Hopefully, if you're listening to us from southern Louisiana, you're already where you need to be for the overnight hours and just stay there. It's not going to be a good night to be driving on the roads, especially when the sun goes down. You will not be able to see flooded streets. You will not be able to see down trees, down power lines. So you need to stay off the roads in these areas. As I said earlier, it's about to make landfall, be making landfall the next hour or so just south of Houma, and then moving briskly off over or near greater New Orleans area. And so conditions are going to go downhill for them relatively quickly. Now I want to show you real quick. Flood watches and warnings are in effect over, you can see, so the darker green here is a flood watch. I'll zoom out so you can see the greater extent. Flood watches in the brighter areas here of flood warnings. That means flooding is occurring or imminent. So you can really see the flood warnings are starting to fill in, and that will continue over the next several hours as these heavy bands move ashore. I also want to go back and show you that we also have a tornado watch here. This is this red area that I've highlighted on the radar. As these bands come ashore, you can get these tornadoes to spin up. Bottom line is it's just all hazards coming together here in southern Louisiana and Alabama. Speaking of water hazards, I want to stick with the water hazards and show you a storm surge warning. A storm surge warning is still in effect.
Hello, Indiana.
For southern Louisiana around to Gulfport, Mississippi. 5 to 10 feet here where the center makes landfall. Not everywhere within the storm surge warning area, but here where the center makes landfall. This is probably occurring as we speak. Heavy rain, storm surge don't mix well, so this is going to be a big flood impact here over southern Louisiana. Now, for you folks further inland, they're asking, where is it going to go once it moves further inland? So let's take a zoom back out a little bit, put the cone on here. You can see it moves briskly up the Mississippi River Valley over the next several days, and it weakens from the traditional wind perspective, but it doesn't weaken from the rainfall perspective. I'll show you a graphic here you might not be used to seeing here. We're going to put first we're going to put the flood watches and warnings back on there. You can see the flood watch, how far inland it extends, but I want people east of the track to start paying attention. What is east of the track? What am I talking about? Birmingham, Montgomery, and Atlanta. I want you to start paying attention to this storm from a rainfall risk perspective. This is the type of setup we get. We can get rainfall to be displaced well to the east of the center of circulation, so I really want you to start paying attention. Check the weather at least once per day, ideally twice per day if you're in these areas. Also, Memphis and Nashville, you need to be on alert, paying attention from a rainfall risk perspective. That is it for us on this advisory. We'll be back with you tomorrow with more updates, and as always, you can get the most updated information from hurricanes.gov.
Cool. So they're going to be doing an update tomorrow too. I was wondering if they were going to end up continuing their updated advisories on YouTube, at least. That's the NHC on YouTube. There's a trade down on Connor's feed. You can follow them, NOAA/NWS National Hurricane Center on YouTube. They have about 66,000 subscribers. And there's Connor Croft. He's dealing with a lot of damaging winds. Power line down, tree down. So he's got quite the scene there. I'll leave him above my face cam as we go back to the normal scene here. You can see landfall is occurring. Most likely right now, landfall is occurring somewhere generally in this area. We'll see landfall somewhere right here is where we'll see landfall. So it is actually, the Eyewall has actually expanded quite a lot and intensified yet again further to the east here. So it has actually intensified a bit further on the eastern side of that Eyewall, and even a little bit more south than that as well. We were losing that eastern Eyewall completely. At this point, you can see that whole, almost the entire eastern Eyewall was gone at one point. And now we're starting to see that eastern Eyewall has returned. But it's still, the southwest side is still being demolished by dry air, and shear is still hurting the system. I don't think this will be nearly as notable of a tornado threat as Beryl. It did have the opportunity, but it downtrended very rapidly after about noon or so. So I do think we still have the risk for a for several tornadoes overnight tonight. But the tornado threat in the rest of the day hours out here, I think it's decreased a lot. Let's see. There's the National Weather Service in Mobile, Alabama, receiving reports on social media of people in the Gulf waters at beaches today. That's very, very, very dumb. That is very dumb. You definitely need to be staying out of the waters if you're in. I mean, gracious, I'm sure it's not even just the warned areas here. I'm sure that there's flags flying all the way from probably all the way from southern Texas all the way along the Florida coastline. I'm sure there's flags flying along a good chunk of this area, but especially on the coastal areas of these tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings, and storm surge warnings. That's where you have to stay out of the water. That's a very dumb idea, and it's extremely dangerous. So make sure you stay out of the waters. Don't go running in the water. I don't even know how you're running in the water, though, because it hurts to be on the shoreline when you have damaging winds. Me and Lucky found that out on the hard way. We were chasing Tropical Storm Debbie. We go on the beach with literally like just 20-mile-an-hour winds, and we were being absolutely pelted by sand. I'm still surprised how little I heard about sand. I'm still surprised about that. I didn't hear about flying sand hurting so much. It stings. But yeah, let's go back over to our radar now. I do believe this has made landfall now. The NHC, I think they will be doing an update at 6, but I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. They may have quit hourly updates. I do not know. I guess we'll figure out, huh? I guess we'll figure out over the next 8 minutes or so if they issue a new advisory or not. I'd say they won't, but I'm hoping they will, so that way we'll know if landfall has occurred or not. We have had a wind gust recorded of potentially 102 mile per hour wind speeds here. I don't know exactly where that gust was located. It was in Louisiana. Let's see here. That is going to be on the eastern side of your Eyewall, where we have a report from a station, a weather station, of 102 mile an hour wind gust. That is, let's see. That would be somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. We have 102 mile an hour wind gust that just happened. I don't know exactly where that would be, but it's somewhere in, pretty much in the northeast quadrant of the eye. There's your low pressure update from Meso Analysis, which had it here. So if you just follow that trajectory, it put the low pressure somewhere between this point and this point, which I do think is accurate. A lot of debris on the road on Connor's feed, mainly just leaves and small sticks. Get rid of mesoanalysis there. Water spout outbreak over here in off the coastline of Florida. I imagine we have a heckload of water spouts ongoing with a lot of these cells. Flying debris now on Connor's feed. Let's see if what he said about that. Ah, I see that. I see what he saw. But yeah, probably a lot of water spouts ongoing out in this area. Thankfully, they're all offshore. There is a chance one of these are moving onshore. But they don't look that intense with rotation as they approach shore. So mainly they're going to be just water spouts at the moment that are staying off land. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button so we can reach more people. And that's official landfall. The National Hurricane Center has declared a landfall around the 6 o'clock time frame. Actually, approximately 5:51 p.m. landfall has occurred in far western parish of Terry. Don't know how to pronounce it. So that is landfall. Category 2 Hurricane Francine has made landfall with sustained wind speeds of 100 miles per hour, central millibar of 972, at approximately 5:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Or Eastern Daylight Time, yeah. So there you go. Let me go ahead and tweet that as well. Let's see, it was 5:51. Okay. So there is your landfall. And it was actually in the day, too. That is crazy. We actually have a hurricane making landfall in the day. Let's see. They will do another hourly update at 7 o'clock. So at 7 p.m., they're going to put out another update. It is still at Category 2 strength, too, which is honestly impressive. I thought it would have started to decrease already by now. I guess they just kind of kept it at Category 2 because do they have Recon in it? Well, I can't tell from here. We'll have to go to Radar Omega. Holy cow. Where do you guys see the little plane icon? I cannot find it. So they went like this. They went up here. Oh, there they are. They're about to go in again. I see them. They're right there. They're about to go through the western eyewall. So they're going to go through the western eyewall here of Category 2 Hurricane Francine. Let's see here. They were pretty, they were like, they weren't late, but they were like right on the nose with that advisory. Let's see if they put it out here first. Yeah, they were one minute early. Were they actually 1 minute early? Hold on, I have the exact... Okay, 5:57 p.m. is when they put out the update. So they were 3 minutes early. We'll probably stay live for the 7 o'clock update, but we'll most likely be ending as the 7 o'clock update comes out. I'll probably have to say it as we're ending. I don't think we're going to continue the stream beyond 7 o'clock. But an urgent stream could still happen between 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock tonight. I just know I don't want to go past 7 o'clock without supper. I made sure to get a lot of food in me so that way I could last all the way until 6:30, 7 o'clock. I ate a little later of a lunch. Hey, Biddy, if we start getting a lot of tornadic activity between 7 and 11, I'll hop right back on here. I'll need to take a good break to get some energy back up, and if it's needed, I will come back on here. As long as it's before 11 o'clock. They already did, Brady. They already did. I literally said it. Here, I'll say exactly what I said again. Let me go to their advisory. As of 5:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Category 2 Hurricane Francine has made landfall with sustained wind speeds of 100 miles per hour and a central millibar of 972. There you go. Also, I do want to note, I completely forgot to point this out. This is actually a feature we've seen a lot. I just forgot to tell you. Birds decided to have a hurricane intercept today and flew right on into the eye of Francine, and then it probably turned more into precipitation right there. We can confirm this from correlation coefficient. Yep. Birds. There you go. We had some birds in the eye of Francine today. So that's a pretty interesting thing. It is actually a lot more common than you may think. It's not the most rare thing. It's just I forget to point it out a lot. Let's see. Do we have radars over here? I'm curious. Do we have radars in China? We do. I will monitor for the potential of a live stream of a major typhoon hitting, is it Shanghai, China? Probably butchered that. I will monitor it for a potential live stream for that on around the realms of the 15th of September. I will also monitor for a potential of covering a landfalling tropical storm in Baja California around the 13th or 14th of September. And we will be live again tomorrow as well. So we're still going to have near daily live streams. Or we're going to have near daily live streams. It just depends on how those two things play out. Landfall in Baja California would be probably overnight, so we may not actually cover that, but we'll just see. We'll likely be live. We will be live tomorrow about 6 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll probably end up doing a live stream on the 13th of September. But I do want to have a break sometime from live streaming, just a one-day break. I just don't think that's going to happen between now and all the activity. I mean, gracious, we have a lot of stuff to cover after this. It's not just going to end now that we have landfall of Francine. Francine's going to continue. We'll have the potential for tornadoes overnight in this general area. Then we'll move on into a potential landfalling tropical storm in Baja California. Then we'll move on over to a potential tropical depression or tropical storm impacting the Carolinas. Then we'll move on into a potential major typhoon impacting Shanghai, I forgot how to say it, China. Then we'll move on to the potential of significant severe weather making a return to the United States out in the plains. So it is going to be action from here on out. Francine decided to kick it off. So I hope I'll get a one-day break sometime between all the action, but I don't know about that. I do want to hear what Connor's saying here. A lot of flooding on that, just before that bridge. So definitely some flash flooding occurring in, who would have guessed, the flash flood warning. So if you can, if you're if you haven't already evacuated from the area, make sure you stay indoors, away from doors and windows if you are in those flash flood warned areas. And if you are in a flash flood prone area, it is a tricky situation because I wouldn't recommend seeking uh I wouldn't recommend going too high up due to those damaging winds, and as well as the fact that you're in the eye of a hurricane. So I don't really know what you would do in that scenario. That's kind of like, what if you're in a, what if you have a thunderstorm and a flash flood warning? What do you do? Because lightning and thunder, specifically lightning, could strike you. But you're in a flash flood warning, so you're supposed to seek higher ground. I don't really know what you do in that scenario. It depends on what you're looking at. That's really something that I've thought of before too. But you do want to be seeking shelter if you are in this whole area here. If you live anywhere from New Libria, all the way towards Grand Isle, New Orleans, I suggest you start seeking shelter because damaging winds in the equivalent of gusts upwards of 115 miles per hour and sustained wind speeds of 100 miles per hour will be possible over the next 2 hours or so. The more inland you are, the lower chance you have of experiencing those significant damaging wind gusts. And yeah, in this area, like I said, I really don't know what you do in that scenario. You're in a flash flood warning, so you want to seek higher ground, but you also need to be seeking shelter because of those damaging winds. I'm glad to see that the streets are relatively empty out in those flash flood warning areas. That's really good. That is definitely a good sign. Let me see here. Yeah, viewership's always low for hurricanes because we have literally near 30 plus people live at one point. But like I said, I'm not in it for the views, so I don't really, even if those viewer counts get to 0, I'm still gonna be here as long as I want to. But I will be concluding at 7, like I said. Eastern. Oh, there's your 18Z GFS. It does not have a tropical storm hitting North Carolina or South Carolina, so that's good. It does have a tropical storm hitting Baja California, though. Wonder what it says for China. It has a high... I was going to say a high-end Cat 2, but that's a Cat 3 just south of Shanghai, China. I might have said a hurricane. I meant a typhoon, Category 3 typhoon. All right, let me close this stuff out here. Yeah. We'll just wait here. It's a waiting game. Waiting game till the top of the hour. I hope the NHC will get an advisory out at like 6:50 so I can talk about that, then conclude. Hey, Lucky's awake. That's the first time I've heard from him ever since like almost noon. He finally woke up. He finally woke up. He told me Landfall. He is a whole like 20 minutes late, but I mean, better late than never. Caleb, that's wrong, buddy. TRG's almost at 100k subs, just 97 more. I don't think you've looked at the subscriber count recently. I may be tired, but I'm not that tired. I could still do some math here. I may be off by, 2 or 3 numbers, but I'm not going to be that bad. Or as Caleb would say, 2 or 3 letters. That is definitely landfall. They called it at 5:51 p.m. Eastern, and very clear that we have had landfall here. That eyewall is still intact. I'm really intrigued to see how fast that eyewall can dissipate. From what I've seen, typically, depending on how strong of category it is, it normally takes about 4 to 5 hours for the eyewall to really start disorganizing after landfall. But this is a low-end category 2, so it actually may be a bit quicker than that. All right, Recon should be in the western Eyewall. They've probably already gone well through it. I've got to figure out where the heck they were. Okay, so it's this line here. See if they got a lower pressure. 972. That is still the millibar that we were looking at 16 minutes ago at the last advisory. So it's still not weakening. Which I mean, shocker. It's gonna really start weakening in an hour. It should become lower. Should become lower at 7 p.m. Just a bit lower, and then 8 p.m. should be a big drop off. Suspended 2024 have a multi-state tornado. I don't know. I don't know. What did Connor see? Gracious day! Holy cow! Let's see. Let's listen to this. Just a minute ago. Maybe a bit of a language warning.
Radar looks nuts just to the west, so I'm gonna play around west for a second. Wow.
Looks like he's in the RFB of a tornado.
Wow, big wind.
Gracious day. That was really
That
bad.
was a gust and a half.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was, Connor. It was definitely a gust and a half. Glad to see he has some really good analysis there. Gust and a half, y'all. Gust and a half. Started in Texas. I could go check. No. How could it be quad state? Oh, you mean like multi-state, like 3 states? How many states are you talking about? I don't know how many states you're talking about. Because we've seen a lot of two-state tornadoes. And I do think we saw a tri-state tornado sometime this year, but it wasn't, really strong. I think we saw a tri-state, or maybe it was just barely not a tri-state. 3 states. No, we didn't have one. Maybe a tri-state supercell. Nope. At least not in 2024. Now we could have had a tri-state elsewhere. I feel like I remember one somewhere up here in the Midwest. But I don't see that either. Let's see. Oh, you know what, y'all? I'm stupid. I am stupid. We have cameras in the Eyewall here. Now that it's made landfall. Let me go ahead and get some cameras up around the I-10 corridor. I'm sure we have some cameras showing us a pretty good feed of the damaging winds. Probably some good ones here. Baton Rouge. Is Baton Rouge inside the Eyewall yet? Nope, it's further south. It's so difficult to figure out where these are based just on traffic cam videos. That's getting pretty windy. Where is this? I'm gonna look for a Union. Look for a Union, Louisiana. Got it. It is in the northern quadrant of your eyewall. It's getting into your eyewall now. Is there anything south of that? Okay, yes, there actually is. This might have it. Oh, well, that one's gone, actually. That one's gone, too. Okay. We're going to stick with this Union camera, then. Should we do the one over, like, this area? Whole 1 car traveling. 2 cars, my bad, my bad. Is that a second car? Might have just been the glare. No, that's a second car. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it on here. Oh, Connor's back in a bad gust. Yeah, Connor is back in a bad gust of winds there. I'll keep that traffic cam up, but I'm actually gonna have Connor up for you guys to see. Lucky is working right now. But I mean, you could go live. You can go live for him. Let me see here. Bet. Wow. 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 What? No way. Gracious day. That is quite. I'm trying to figure out how bad this actually is. That's near 100 mph winds right there. 106 knots. Gracious day. I have a feeling that's not correct, but I don't really know why that wouldn't be. You know, if I was saying there'd be Cat 2 wind force, or Cat 2 wind speeds, it'd be in the northeastern eye, but they're finding it in, like, the center. Or just, like, south of the actual low-pressure center. Let me go back over here. Yeah, I don't really see a reason to continue after 7, unless we were just to watch this thing continue northeast, which I know a lot of people are gonna do. If there was a more notable tornado threat, I'd stay, but I'm gonna go get me some supper and just watch this. Because believe it or not, I actually love to watch this stuff both on and off of stream. So I'll pull up 12 chasers, 3 different coverage YouTubers, and get me some food. 4 hours is not that bad. I said 3 to 4 hour live stream is what I was planning on. So I'm just glad I could still do this and have at least somebody watching me. Like I said, to me, views matter to me because I love reaching a wider audience. But in terms of you know, if one person is watching and there's a tornado ongoing, I'm not going to end. Or even if 0 people were watching, views don't matter to me in that sense. But you guys do matter to me in the fact that you're watching. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm not going to let views determine if I go live or not. There you go. There you go. Yeah, my parents are subscribed to me. You might find it a bit weird, but actually they were a later subscriber. I believe I was around 700 subscribers before they subscribed to my channel. So yeah, a lot of you guys, especially like Legacy and Lucky, you guys were subscribed to my channel before my parents were subscribed. Connor is getting pounded. Gracious day.
Bro's gonna take us all the way to New Orleans. We're gonna be in the Eyewall the whole way.
Jeez. I bet he's gonna have fun with that. There's nothing better than just staying in the Eyewall for 2 hours. Hopefully it's not gonna be you know, actually damaging winds. It's definitely strong winds and near damaging winds, but hopefully we don't see anything like actual damage occurring with trees falling and stuff like that. Yeah, they actually no, they haven't joined the chat. No. For some reason I thought you meant like just join the stream. They've joined the stream. Yes. Have they chatted in the chat? No. I don't think they will unless they get like a unless they get like a an account just for this, just for chatting in my chat. I've had a lot of family watch, but I've never had family chat. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like the millibar is still generally the same. Like freaking exactly the same. Like, look at this. 20 minutes between these 2 points. 972.6. The next one, 972.6 is legit like the exact same. That might be one of the stronger cells I've seen in a little while. That's actually got some lightning activity to it, and it is a bigger storm. So these definitely could produce water spouts, and they may clip land. And that's going to be what we monitor for the potential of an urgent stream after 7 p.m. So make sure you have that notification bell on because I'll watch closely. And if I think it's needed, I'll end up going live sometime between 7 and 11 p.m. Eastern. After 11 o'clock, I will most likely not have an opportunity to do urgent coverage because I'll probably just go to sleep. Yeah. I'll still probably be up after 11, but just not on my computer. Ah. No, my parents know Lucky very well. I was trying to figure out what you were talking there, what you were trying to say, Caleb. Like, you hope that Lucky's not on call. But yeah, there's a loop of our Eyewall. The latest frame, I mean, it still looks impressive. It does not look that bad. It really does not. It's still holding together very, very well. I'm really impressed with the amount of intensification the Eyewall has had over the last 4 hours. Because, I mean, if we go all the way back to when, like, we first started stream, which isn't even, geez. That's not even enough frames. We'll have to do 150 frames to go back to when we started the live stream. That's how long we've been live already. Yeah, so you can see how disorganized the Eyewall was at like 2:30 just before we went live. It was very disorganized, very messy, and you could just see the intensification phase it's had has actually been, in my opinion, very impressive. It looks like it stalled out for a bit right there. Like right at landfall, it looks like it stalled out for a little. Gracious day. I don't know why, but I thought that that was a tornado warning. There's no tornado warning, but I thought that this thing here was a tornado warning and my heart dropped. It's a storm surge warning, but I thought it was a tornado warning because it looks like a polygon. Oh, man. Gracious day. I need some recovery time from that. My heart dropped. I was like, is that the first warning of the whole live stream when we're nearing the end? Hello, Haley. I also saw Indiana. Glad to see you in here. I don't know if I welcomed you, Indiana, but glad to see you in here. Welcome to the stream. We'll be live again tomorrow evening about 6 p.m. Unless it's needed before then. Most of the time, though, I don't like to live stream before 3 p.m. unless it's like absolutely necessary. So, I'm planning for a live stream at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Eastern. That camera above my face cam is shaking a lot. That's on the northern side of the Eyewall. Which I believe our camera is just to the west of Connor. Imagine we saw Connor on our webcam. That would be wild. He's not on the right road. He's on Highway 90. I believe our camera's on I-70. So yeah, still Category 2 force wind speeds happening with the Eyewall of Francine here. Let's go see our latest power outages. I imagine, yes, they have climbed up rapidly. Ever since we last checked about 40 minutes ago, they are now 4 times greater than that. Over 60,000, nearing 65,000 people without power. It has climbed up rapidly. Like I said, once that Eyewall moves on shore, that's when your power outages climb up a lot. And it's going to climb up. I think we're going to have probably more than 200,000 people without power by the time the Eyewall is like past Louisiana. So, yeah, you're welcome for getting rid of the tornado threat. I went live and seemingly everything became just started to weaken tornado-wise. Unfortunately, I wish it would have been the case with the damaging winds, too. So I'm glad we haven't had, to my knowledge, any tornadoes. We may have had a brief spin up along the coastal areas here near Port Sulphur, pointing southeast. But that's really the only area. Like, if we had a spin-up tornado, I think it would be somewhere in here. At some point. But I don't know because, well, I don't think many people, are going to be out and about over there. And I don't think many chasers chose that for a target area. I'm just, honestly, I'm really, really impressed with this, this eyewall structure. It's, seemingly intensifying even just slightly, especially on the north central quadrant here. It is very impressive. Holy moly, can my voice work? Drink some water. It is really impressive. There you go. Let's see. All right. I want to look at this from this radar site. Can I get rid of this ring? If I can, that'd be great. I don't think I can. I like this because it gives more of a National Weather Service radar feel. This is attic radar. It gives more of that National Weather Service feel to it. With the color table, I like the color table and just the feel of attic radar here. And you can see that intense eyewall, quite intense eyewall on the northwest, northern, and the portions of the northeastern side. I do believe the majority of this is going to stay just barely off to the west of New Orleans. However, at some point this should take a more eastward turn, and it may actually be able to clip New Orleans, and that's actually a little bit more evident with these new bands here. So if you're in New Orleans, now's the time to start hunkering down. You're still in tropical storm warnings, but you could see some hurricane force wind speeds as this band has a very near miss with the city of New Orleans. So most likely our power outages are going to continue to skyrocket, especially as this eyewall impacts a good chunk of New Orleans and Baton Rouge. I do think New Orleans will have a better chance of seeing hurricane force impacts than Baton Rouge. Let's see here. The recon that we have inside of Francine right now may just be the last recon mission we get into Francine. I honestly don't think we're gonna see any more recon because it's gonna be over land. You don't really need recon over land unless you're really wanting to know the intensity or how fast it's weakening over land, I should say. So I really think this is gonna be our last recon, and it might go through the eye wall one or two more times before heading back out towards San Antonio. Where it took off from, or wherever it's going to land. I don't know where it's planning on landing. No, I haven't stormed Dakota because I don't think I can show those on stream. Are they bad? Pretty bad storm surge, or meh? Wow. Roof and wall of a warehouse collapsed in Dulac, Louisiana, which is just barely south of where Connor was. That is that's already quite the damage. Make sure I have, yeah, you guys are muted. I wanted to make sure y'all's, the desktop audio was muted just in case something copyrighted plays, because Twitter has a pretty good record of that. Yeah, so if we are warranted to come back on here later, within like the next 4 hours or so after we end, it's probably going to be because of one of these cells here that eventually move off well to the northeast. So like I said, we're going to conclude here in just under 20 minutes. I'll monitor for an urgent stream between 7 and 11 p.m. Eastern, and if need be, I will hop back on. I have a good feeling Connor's just going to stay live all the way through the evening and probably into the early morning hours tonight. Gracious day. Yeah, the northeastern eyewall of Francine was definitely intense. Wow. Give me just a moment. Let me just make sure this is the right @handle on Twitter, and then I will tweet this. I'm going to quote tweet something about the Eyewall. Okay, yes, this is the correct @. Just wanted to make sure. I'll probably have a couple of tweets tonight. I don't know for sure, but most of the time I do tweet things in between my live streams on YouTube. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, just go in the link in the description. First link is my link tree, and you can find my Twitter there as well as our Discord server. And also in the description is a few other things that I've used. And down there's also a link to Connor's channel if you want to go watch him after I end. But yeah, I'm still really impressed with how well that Eyewall is holding up. That's probably going to continue with at minimum, low end category 1 force wind speeds going through potentially New Orleans, portions, maybe into Baton Rouge. Don't know why I lost my train of thought there. Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston, Donaldsonville, New Orleans, Prairie Point, Franklin, Morgantown. You guys all still need to be hunkering down in your, preferably in your safe spot there as the Eyewall continues to move through. And the southwestern Eyewall, I really don't know about that. I don't know how strong that is. I have a feeling it still has somewhat tropical storm force wind speeds, but it does appear a whole heck of a lot weaker than your northern Eyewall. So yeah, I'll have radar up throughout all the way till probably near 11 o'clock, watching this closely. And then if urgent live stream's needed from now till 11, I'll come back on here. Let's see here. I'm curious what they'll do at the 11, or not 11 o'clock, but the 9 o'clock SPC update. I don't think they'll be changing much, honestly, with the SPC outlook. We will see. So for the rest of tonight, let's just go ahead and do a quick update on what should happen tonight. We should continue to see the Eyewall of Francine make its way throughout a good chunk of northeastern portions, or rather southeastern portions of Louisiana. And then eventually, once it gets towards the end of Louisiana into Mississippi, it should take a pretty sharp turn northward as it gets a hold of, I believe, a trough ejection. It will continue to weaken from there on out, so hurricane force wind speeds are a very real possibility in the remainder of southeastern Louisiana here, all the way from Baton Rouge to New Orleans back towards Hammond. Still very much a possibility for hurricane force wind speeds. And then beyond Hammond, it will weaken into a tropical storm and progress northward. And then eventually after Jackson, Mississippi, it will weaken into a tropical depression. Tornado threat is going to be a concern along the very coastal areas here. This is your SPC outlook. Very coastal areas of Mississippi and Florida will most likely be the main area to watch later on tonight. Coastal areas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. That tornado threat will primarily, most likely start from what I've seen, about 8 p.m., so even though we are past 6 p.m. now, I think after 8 p.m. is going to have a bit of a better opportunity now. But it may even be later than that into the overnight hours for a tornado threat. I still wouldn't rule out a potentially strong tornado on the coastal areas. It's really going to be more of a 50-50 on if it's strong or not. And that will be something to note if you see any supercells form along the coastal areas there. They did just issue a special marine warning there for a potential of a water spout. So if we can get any more of those robust supercells like the one we saw south of Mobile an hour and a half ago, that's going to be our opportunity for potentially a strong tornado tonight. But it's not that high of a chance. So I do think we'll see 2 or 3 tornadoes tonight, and one of those may be able to push out strong intensity. Connor's going to hang inside the Eyewall probably for a while until eventually there's any signs of uptick in tornadic activity. Here's a listen, see what he says about the Eyewall here, or winds.
Just wide open.
Pretty sure that's another chaser there.
There's a couple spots where like there had been a tree down like the right lane, so it might be better to hook the left lane, but no, it was fine. Alright, copy that.
So definitely very gusty winds out there. I'd say sustained wind speeds in the Eyewall are probably near, at this point, 50-60 miles per hour, with gusts possibly approaching, at least from Connor's feed, 70 to 80. But if we go off of the National Hurricane Center, sustained wind speeds are around 90 mile, or rather around 100 sustained mile-an-hour wind speeds, with gusts upwards of 115 miles per hour. Although that will continue to rapidly decrease throughout the rest of today, and we'll continue to monitor that potential and see what happens. I do want to show you guys this. This is something we look for in spring and summer. From the Climate Prediction Center, this is a very noteworthy ordeal from the Climate Prediction Center's temperature and precipitation outlook that they have recently issued. This is something you typically see in summer and spring. We have below temperature anomalies, which hints at tropical, or not tropical, but trough ejections, is what I meant to say. Trough ejections. And you have above average temperatures out here. So what that notes is you're gonna have troughs that swing in at the Rockies, and that's going to mix in with your warm above average. There goes a cop on Connor's feed there. Warm above average temperatures, and create the potential for severe weather generally out here in the Central Plains. That is also noted from the Climate Prediction Center's precipitation outlook throughout this general area here as well. And then tropical activity in my neck of the woods, yeah, my neck of the woods, tropical activity will be possible from the 17th to the 21st of September. So I will continue to monitor that. Like I said, I could chase that. We'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, that's also noted from the precipitation outlook from the 19th to the 20th for the potential of precipitation to occur in this area and the risk of heavy rainfall, hinting at the potential for severe weather, as well as tropical activity along the coastal, or actually the majority of the Carolinas into the mid-Atlantic and also into West Virginia there as well. Also noted with the damaging wind side of things, the potential for damaging winds, whether that be near tropical depression or tropical storm. We'll have to work that out from the 19th to the 21st. And then some damaging winds may be possible behind the trough ejection if we can get a strong enough low pressure out there in the Rockies. So it does look like severe weather will make a return to the United States, and some tropical activity along the coastal areas and even inland on the southeastern side of the U.S. I'll go and check your power outages map one last time here. We're currently at 72,000 people, plus 72,000 people without power. So, yeah, those power outages will continue to increase. So, yeah, there's a quick update. Yeah, we're gonna start concluding here. I don't think we'll be needed any longer in terms of covering this landfall. Thankfully, it will be a weakening trend from here on out, but we do want to monitor the potential for an uptick in tropical tornado activity. So we will monitor for that, and we'll also keep an eye on for the potential of a few tornadoes tomorrow, which will be live for that. That will probably kick off in the early afternoon hours, about 3 p.m. We'll probably start our stream up just after supper time, just after dinner, about 6 o'clock Eastern. Unless the tornado threat uptrends considerably tomorrow afternoon, and if it does, we'll push that stream back to 3 p.m. So make sure you have the notification bell set to all, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit that like button on today's live stream. Share the channel with your family, friends, social media. I think we are just 2 likes shy from today's like goal of 50 likes. Almost got there. Almost got there. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Just 2 off. I'm sure pretty much all of you guys have. And yeah, urgent coverage will still be possible tonight from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock Eastern time. I'll monitor for the potential of coming back on here if need be for increased tornadic activity. I'll be live for some tornadic activity tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Unless it uptrends, then we'll push that stream or we'll bring that stream back, closer to 3 p.m. or whenever it starts to increase. So there's a really good chance I won't be live before 3 p.m. tomorrow. I try not to go live before 3 p.m. because I like to get things done. I'm normally busy in the morning and early afternoon hours, and then I become available in the late afternoon hours, and then I'm typically available in all of the evening hours. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I do think we have a decent risk for severe weather. Whether or not the SPC issues an enhanced risk, that's a call we'll probably have to make day one. Which we are at least a solid 5 days away from any type of notable severe weather being possible. We did get 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that just got issued in Idaho and Montana, which is why you saw that scene change. And I also want to mention, really quick, I don't think we have many viewers from this area, but there is the potential for a couple of spin-up tornadoes, as well as the potential for significant hail. I don't know if they've increased that risk. It's not hatched yet, but significant hail, damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour, and a tornado or 2 will all be possible tomorrow in Montana and northern Wyoming. That looks like a pretty good severe weather threat as well, kicking off around 4 p.m. Eastern. So definitely going to be live tomorrow, and I know for a fact it will be after 3 p.m., most likely 6 p.m. Eastern. And no, I don't think there'll be much severe weather in Chicago. I think it's going to be off to your west. And that eyewall is still maintaining. It is still an impressive eyewall. Still an impressive eyewall there. A Nightbot only gets the people who don't break the rules at this point, let's be honest. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this eyewall here. Just make sure that you are hunkered down, preferably in your safe spot here. If you're anywhere from Baton Rouge all the way to Louisiana, that's where we're going to see the potential for hurricane force wind speeds over the next 3 hours or so. But we covered landfall, and we of course, I saw Connor intercept the eyewall a couple of different times. We got to go over some tornado potential, and I got to update you guys on the on this hurricane. So I appreciate those who have tuned in over the last 5 days of briefings, and as well as today's coverage for Francine. This will not conclude the coverage on Francine. We started our live streams for the potential of Francine to form all the way back 11 days ago, and those live streams talking about Francine will likely conclude tomorrow, which will put our total live streams up to 8 live streams for Francine, as well as 3 videos for the potential of Francine as well. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We've reached, gracious, I don't know if I could tally up all the views for this one. 5,000, it's 4,000 there, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000, 12,000. I appreciate about 18,000 people tuning in to the coverage and briefings on Francine, and I'll talk to you guys later tomorrow. But like I said, briefings will be possible from 7 o'clock, or not briefings, but an urgent coverage will still be a possibility from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock tonight, pending if it is needed. But I will see you guys tomorrow, and I plan for that to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you, mods, for mod and chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night, and I will see you guys definitely in tomorrow's live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. I did just remember the NHC update. They have downgraded Francine to sustain wind speeds of 90 miles per hour and a pressure of 975. Thank you, Mods for Mod on chat. I will see you guys in tomorrow's live stream.